Welcome to Hamilton, Ontario and Ivor Wynne Stadium, home to the Tiger Cats. Traditionally, a graveyard for their rivals, the Toronto Argonauts. Ivor Wynne has not always been friendly to the Argos. When leaving the Steel City, they rarely added a victory to the tier. Only 26 wins on 57 occasions. But it all changed last year. First on Labor Day, Doug Flutie and the Argos tamed the Cats, winning 38-7. And then in early November, they won again, 47-14. And of course, Argo fortunes continued in late November with a Grey Cup victory in the host city. The Argos look to win again at Ivor Wynne. The Ticats hope to make it the unfriendly environment that it's been in the past. From Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton, it's the Toronto Argonauts versus the Hamilton Tiger Cats on CFL Live. We are live and interactive here on TSN. Get on the net. You can play QB1 throughout the telecast of this game. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to CFL Live and another tale of two cities. The Argos still riding that high after their last game at Ivor Wynne Stadium when they won the Grey Cup. And back from Saskatchewan, Obi, the coach, Les Brown, and Marty York of the Globe and Mail. We'll have a chance to chat about this one in a second, but hey, Doug Flutie, of course, the headliner for the Argos coming in, and with that concern, the Ticats have to expect a little more from quarterback Anthony Cavillo today. With more, let's head to Ivor Wynne Stadium now. Join John Wells and Leif Pedersen.
Rod, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are already feeling some heat after going 0 for 2 in the preseason and then losing in week 1 to the Montreal Alouettes. There seems to be a confidence problem about the quarterback, both the quarterback himself and the coaching staff in their #1 signal caller, Anthony Cavillo.
Well, I think that's somewhat unfair to say that you're a little nervous to have Anthony Cavillo as your starting quarterback. Heck, they've only played one league game, but, you know, I think it's clear if Hamilton's going to be competitive this afternoon, and for all season for that matter, Anthony Cavillo's got to have a kind of all-star year. Now, he won't be the all-star because Doug Flutie probably will be, but they're back to square one. No more running the football. He's going to have to throw the ball 50 times a game, and he's going to have to do it error-free. That's a tough thing to do, but where I think the intangible may come today is in his running ability. He led the club a week ago in that loss against Montreal, but he's a better runner than a lot of people think. And I think today, if things aren't there quickly, he's going to have to take it upon himself and run the football. And that might be the little intangible that Hamilton needs.
Yeah, but then when you match up the quarterback's running game, Flutie ran for 116 last week. Let's look at the Argonaut defense. It is not flamboyant. It is not really star-studded in many ways, but it certainly gets the job done, and there are no glaring weaknesses on the Argo defense.
And that's really how you judge a defense. You know, we used to look at defenses when I played, and we said, well, we might have a good matchup over here, or we may get a good matchup over there. You look at Toronto, and there's not a whole lot of great matchups except in the favor of the defense, and they are strong up the middle. Any good defense has that, and Toronto's no exception. Rob Waldrop, 9 sacks and an All-Canadian a year ago. He pushes that pocket from the tackle position, and then Mike Boucher right behind. Had 3 great years in Hamilton, so this is going to be fun for him to come and play back here. And, of course, Lester Smith, the middle safety, exactly what you want. A guy that can roam from sideline to sideline, help out his corners if they get beaten over the top. And, hey, this is a defense that does not beat itself and a tough defense to beat.
This was a tough place to win for the Argos at one time. Not anymore. They won here on Grey Cup Sunday, and the last time they played the Tiger Cats at Ivor Wynne. Rod?
Okay, thank you, John and Leif. And, of course, leaving us to talk about the guy that gets talked about so often, Doug Flutie, and how well he uses his receivers.
Well, Doug Flutie's got a great set of receivers to throw to. His strength as an offensive player in this league has always been predicated on having good inside slot backs. And Toronto has recruited more speed in the 2 receivers they have now, and that's going to make him that much tougher. And then their 2 running backs, when you look at their backs, they're receivers first and runners second. Drummond and Clements are better than a lot of receivers, and they can come out of the backfield. So that gives you all kinds of problems. And then on top of that, Doug's ability to scramble and move around, and Hamilton's going to try and combat that by bringing in Frank West as a defensive back, playing in that linebacker position, so they can try and match up a little better with the Argo offense.
Well, I think the key to Hamilton's defense and containing Doug Flutie is strictly that, containment. The 2 defensive ends, Gonzalo Floyd and Joe Mumford, have to rush up the field far enough that they can keep Doug in a pocket, so to speak, to make him a pure passer and not let him beat you at the running game as well. They have 2 of the best supporting casts coming up the middle with them in Mike Philbrick and Mike Campbell. And then they have the Tasmanian himself and Calvin Tiggle sitting in the middle to clean up everything. So I think that's what they need to do.
You know, all I know, guys, is that Doug Flutie has accomplished just about everything he's wanted to accomplish in the league. And this year, he told me the other day he wants to go 18-0. He might just do it. Ticats may go 0-18.
Oh, man. You're obviously trying to endear yourself to Hamilton fans the way you were
I just call it like it is.
Well, and by the way, still coming off a high, I'm sure, Marty York, from your 65-yard kick the other day.
Rod, I get paid to make picks, not kicks.
Okay, well,
Kick like a little girl as well.
Oh, sexist remark, Les.
But it was the dress shoes. So how about the pick then for today?
Well, Rod, the odds makers in Las Vegas have made the Argos 9.5-point favorites. I think the Argos should cover the spread easily. The Argos beat Winnipeg by 15 points in the opener last week. They weren't happy with their performance. They committed too many penalties, too many turnovers. They didn't finish off their drives. I think it'll be a different story today. The Ticats are a troubled bunch. Southern's job is already on the line, and the Ticats may look like pussycats today. So lay the points, take the Argos. They may win by 35 points.
Doug Flutie, certainly the reason why the Argo machine works so well, and trying to get it done again today at Ivor Wynne like he did the last time in November. CFL Live returns right after this.
The Tiger Cats ready for their home opener and already feeling the heat as they host the hated Argos at Ivor Wynne. The forecast looks almost perfect to renew an old rivalry, the oldest in North American sports, in fact, dating back to 1873, though the wind could be a bit of a factor. Don Matthews on the verge of becoming the winningest coach in the history of Canadian football. He has won the Grey Cup 2 years running with 2 different teams. Don Southern begins his 3rd full year as head coach in Hamilton, still searching for a winning season and a consistent offense. These 2 teams do not like each other a whole bunch. That has been well documented over the years, and it doesn't seem to matter what edition it is of the Argonauts and the Tiger Cats. It usually turns out to be a fierce football battle. The Argos have it underway. Vanderjack takes it down near the 30-yard line. Hitchcock on the return. Found a little room on the sidelines. Not a speedster. He was one of the short guys on that return. Anthony Cavillo. Hit for 59% of his passes last week, threw a couple of late touchdowns, and 1 interception proved rather costly. The starting lineups are brought to you by Midas today. In the backfield with Cavillo, Shondai Smith and Bert Thornton, the outside receivers, Ted Long and Prince Wembley III, the inside backs, and Lee Knight and Marcus Thomas will run the ball. The up front line, pretty much the same as last week, but Peter Shorts checks in at right tackle. On first down, this is Marcus Thomas, number 33. Ticats want to run a little bit.
In Toronto, we talked about it in the opening, a tough defense to play against. Good up front with Maxey and Giles outside. Stewart and Rob Waldrop, good push up the middle. Linebacking core as solid as they come. Mike O'Shea in the middle. The only change from last week's win over Winnipeg, Donald Smith with the broken arm. He is out for about a month. Marcelo Slimmons shifts out to the corner, and Antonius Bonner moves into halfback. He had a heck of a preseason, so they don't really lose a whole lot there anyway.
This is 2nd and 7. Cavillo can't get away. Thought about a run for a split second. It closed up quickly, and Cavillo is down. Michael O'Shea has him, number 50, an ex-Ticat who draws some boos when he gets the latest Tiger Cat quarterback.
Well, it's a heck of a play to the right side of your screen with Reggie Gibbons, and he's going to come up. They want to run the option, and Watch Givens coming straight into your screen. He takes the pitch man on, knocks Ted Long into the backfield, and then Calvillo just has absolutely nowhere to go. But that was all Reggie Givens, and that's the big change. He gets to move outside where he's a better linebacker because Mike O'Shea is now in the middle.
Paul Osbaldiston standing back at his 35. First punt of the afternoon. And he keeps it away from the pinball. Mike Clemens, it rolls all the way through the end zone. Tiger Cats on a long single by Osbaldiston around the board. It rolled about 45 yards and traveled 81 in total. 1-0 Tiger Cats. And that's one thing the Tiger Cats have to do is score early on the Argos today, but 1 point is not exactly what they had in mind. They need touchdowns and field goals early.
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, they took the Rob Hitchcock return of the opening kickoff and had great field position. They did come away with some points, but so I think you're right. It's going to take a little more than 1 point here and 1 point there. When you're going against old number 2, who started off his season last week against Winnipeg in pretty fine fashion. The leading rusher with 116 yards in the ground. To me, that was one of the most impressive things that he did in the game.
Flutie said he planned about half of the carries that he made last week against Winnipeg. Ad-libbed about half. Total 116 yards, as you say.
Well, what he does so well with that running is he runs to throw. I mean, he doesn't run to have 100 yards a game, although I know he'd like to have a 1,000-yard season. That's in the back of his mind, but he really buys himself time with the running to find a receiver downfield.
438 yards for Flutie through the air last week. Argos were called for holding, and as a result, Ticats get a break, forcing Toronto to begin at the 5. Mike Clemens did not carry the ball a great deal last week. Has a couple of yards on his first carry. Outside receivers are Paul Massotti and Dwayne Trishan. Inside, Feldman Malvo and Darryl Mitchell, the newcomers. And to run the ball predominantly, Robert Drummond, with Clemens as the 5th receiver most of the time. Veteran offensive line with the All-Canadian Kiselak in the middle. 8-2. This is 2nd and 8. Flutie swings it out to the far side for Mike Clemens, leading receiver last week, and already off to a great start. He's out near the 20. 15 yards for Mike Pinball Clemens the first time he touches the ball. Second time he touches the ball, I should say.
Well, what an interesting story. 116 catches a year ago. He has 10 last week in the opener. Now on the first series, catches his 11th pass already this season.
Led the league in number of catches last year on first down. Flutie has Tim Trishan, and he's wrapped up quickly. Jason Ring and Gonzalo Floyd all around him.
A couple of changes in the Ticat defense for today. Gonzalo Floyd is in at the defensive end spot, and of course Philbrick Campbell. Montford up front. Montford really a rush end linebacker type, and Frank West, don't be fooled, he's a defensive back playing linebacker. In the secondary, one of my favorites is back Eric Carter, a perennial all-star, and Orlando Stenhauer in the corner. But you're going to see 6 and 7 defensive backs for the Ticats this afternoon. They're 3-man rush as they do now.
Shoveled ahead for Drummond. The Ticat defense met him head on. Justin Ring was there again, but he had help that time, and Hitchcock was there, I believe, too, number 42.
And I think what you have to do against that 3-man front is you have to try and run against it early, and even though it's 2nd and long, Toronto does it with the option. Here you play a game on Montford, and he reacts quite quickly to get back. He didn't make the initial play on it. But against a 3-man front, you have to try and pound away at it. Toronto tried and couldn't get it done, and that's a pretty good defensive series for the Ticats.
Mike Vanderjack at his own 15. A moral victory, if nothing else, for the Tiger Cats to get the ball back in a hurry from Toronto. Big charge on Vanderjack, got it away. Steinhauer to return for Hamilton. Picked his way across the 50 to about the 51-yard line. So the Ticats with good field position one more time as the Argos punted into the wind. Yeah, Tiger Cats under.
The CFL Live on TSN. is brought to you by Advantage, providing solutions for business. And by Gatorade. Life is a sport. Drink it up.
Ticats had a point on the scoreboard for a brief moment, but chose to ignore the point and take the penalty, forcing the Argos to scrimmage from the 5-yard line. So it is 0-0 at Ivor Wynne Stadium. Anthony Cavillo gets his hands on the football one more time.
Yeah, and for the second time in a row, the opening kickoff and now their second possession, they have terrific field position at their own 51. And what a key that is to play against Toronto when you can play on a short field like that.
Tiger Cats on first down. Cavillo with time throws to the underneath receiver, Ted Long. He makes the catch for a couple. Marcelo Simmons, the newcomer at cornerback this week anyway.
Toronto predominantly a zone defense. Cavillo knows that from the scouting reports, and he just sends Ted Long out into the flat. They clear out for him, and you know, a pretty good call to throw underneath the coverage and let him try and pick up some yards, but it was not a good throw, and he had to come back and couldn't get any more. But at least the read was right early in this game. Throw underneath that Toronto coverage, especially on first down.
The gain was 3. This is 2nd and 7. Ticats at the 54. Cavillo stands in. He's got Lee Knight. Couldn't bring it down, and it spun ahead. Ashondae Smith had an opportunity after it bounced off an Argo, but he couldn't haul it in either.
But you know, John, we talked in the opening about Toronto being strong down the middle. Well, they are with Lester Smith, and Lee Knight was open early, and he's able to close the gap, come over early and break it up. You'll see Lester Smith to the left middle of your screen, and that's a long way for him to come, but he bats the ball loose, and that's all you ask from your middle safety.
Unless you bat it to number 86 there, who had a chance to make a play, but it was spinning and he was unable to hang on.
Well, again, what Paul Osbaldiston wants to do here now is get it out of bounds. A single point doesn't mean a whole lot, but try and get Toronto inside the 20.
He got it out of bounds all right, but about the 35-yard line. That a bit of a shank for Osbaldiston.
A bit.
Gino Retta joins us on the sidelines this afternoon.
John, just a moment ago, after the Argo offense came off the field, Argo offensive center Mike Kiselak ran to the sideline saying, guys, we're pushing their D-line 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. Let's stop putting the ball up in the air. Let's run along the ground. We'll get all kinds of yardage. Just tell the backs to start hitting those holes. We're making them holes. We're pushing them back 5 yards. Let's keep the ball on the ground. We'll move it down the field.
And Mike Kiselak's a pretty smart guy because they're only doing it against 3-man rush. So 5 against 3 is pretty good in Toronto's favor. And I agree. I think they got to try and get Hamilton out of that 3-man front, and it'll take away one less defensive back for Flutie to think about.
Flutie looks at 1st and 10 back near the 30. On target. Well short of the first down and wrapped up rather quickly. The pinball by Clemens. Mike Campbell was there.
Yeah, Mike Campbell was there because he did something kind of interesting here. Here he's rushing. He all of a sudden comes back as a linebacker. This kind of a new twist for Ticats. There, one step now. He's a linebacker, so they're pulling out everything early in this game against Doug Flutie. I mean, they complete the ball, but still that's one more thing now for Flutie to think about.
The gain is 5. The Argonauts at their own 34. Flutie has attrition and a first down. 1 reception for 13 yards and his first touchdown last week.
And he's learning a new position. You know, he played mostly slot back, and of course at the University of Saskatchewan he was a running back, but he's made the transition to wide receiver in his 3rd year. He's got terrific speed. He's about 4.6 in the 40, a lot faster than I thought he was, but I think slowly he'll come along, and he certainly doesn't hurt you at the wide receiver spot.
Was he in the backfield with your old pal up at the U of S?
Yeah, he was. Rob Simchick.
Robert Drummond lost his footing, stumbled for a couple, and Flutie is complaining down there about something that didn't work out quite the way he wanted.
Well, John, you know, I made the comment a week ago that Doug Flutie's offenses were probably the best in the league at opening drives, scoring points. I mean, that's what they did a year ago, and second drives, that's what they did. So you know, you really get the idea from looking at that graphic that Flutie always gets his team off to a good, positive start, and that's so important.
Flutie looks at 2nd and 6 now at the 45 from the shotgun. Gets some heat from Gonzalo Floyd throwing on the run, and he's got his man, Demtrishan, again. Back-to-back catches for Dwayne Demtrishan. He finds a way, Doug Flutie.
He finds a way, and when you play with Doug Flutie as a receiver, you have to find a way. Dwayne Demtrishan knows that the fun starts when Flutie scrambles. He does a heck of a job to get away from Eric Carter and make himself a good target. But Flutie gets away from Gonzalo Floyd, who came free up the middle on the stunt. He came a long way to flush Flutie out of the pocket, but didn't matter. They completed the ball anyway.
Here's that second drive rolling for the Argos now to gain 19 inside the Ticat 50, and Flutie has another strike for 5 yards. Felman Malvo, 2 catches and 52 yards last week, had a couple called back.
Yes, he did. You know, you look at where the Toronto Argonauts are better this year. I don't think there's any question their receiving core is better. Felman Malvo had a terrific opening game a week ago. He's got 4.3 speed, and you combine that with Daryl Mitchell, the other slot. This is a better receiving core than a year ago because Tyrone Williams was running lousy patterns, and Jimmy the Jet Cunningham was a great kick returner.
But not a pure receiver.
He wasn't a pure receiver, so this is a better group on the field right now.
2nd and 4. Flutie looks to go, and he's wrapped up. Joe Montford. Montford, a linebacker a year ago, has moved up to the defensive line. That's his 2nd sack of the season.
Well, here's Joe Montford, and he's going to come on the stunt right up the gut again. Hamilton doing a lot of twists early. Floyd came open 2 plays ago, and now Toronto's offensive line can't handle the stunt by Joe Montford. And again, another good defensive play for the Ticats. They've had a bunch early in this first quarter, and they're going to need more.
The Ticats did give up some field position on this Argo drive, however. Again, Wilhite had nowhere to go. Wrapped up in a hurry. 40-yard punt. And literally no return. Zeros on the board, and Ivor win. Argonaut middle linebacker Michael O'Shea, the hatedest man in Hamilton.
Well, they were unhappy when he left here after 3 good years. Well, of course, 1993, he was the CFL Rookie of the Year and made a lot of great plays here in Hamilton. He's so good, that's why they hate him.
Nice move by Cavillo as he tried to find Ted Long on a good play-action fake and just fired it a little short. I should say most hated man in Hamilton.
Well, you know, like when he first came into the league, not many young guys are impact players, but he really was. And there's an interception against David Archer. One of the reasons Archer's now in the broadcast booth. Plays like that, throwing it right to O'Shea and making Mike O'Shea an all-star and a rookie in the CFL in 1993. Rookie of the Year, rather.
9 career interceptions for Michael O'Shea. On 2nd and 10, chance for the Tiger Cats to explode. Prince Wembley III. Big first down for the Tiger Cats in a 21-yard game. Cavillo and Prince Wembley hooked up in Las Vegas in their rookie years in this league.
Well, they remember each other, and look at the offensive line for Hamilton. Great protection, so Anthony Cavillo has a good sight line downfield to pick out Wembley. Wembley, the leading receiver for the Ticats in their opening game, was 7 catches, and now getting his first of the afternoon.
On the ground for Marcus Thomas, and that's stuffed by the Argonauts.
You know, it's funny.
Is in on it, Sorry Leaf, and also Demetrius Maxey.
It's funny, I guess at the beginning of the year, Don Southern said, we're going back to old-fashioned football here in Hamilton. We're going to be a 2-back, import-back team. We're going to shove the football down other people's throats. Well, that lasted about a half of one regular season game, and now they're back to where they're going to be with, I'm sure, Cavillo bearing the brunt and throwing 45 to 50 times a game.
Well, that's CFL football in the 90s. Cavillo using the shotgun more effectively today until then. That was almost gone the other way for 6. Adrian Smith was covering.
Toronto's a terrific zone team, and what they do so well is guys like Adrian Smith get deep drops at the snap of the football, and then they look into the backfield and they read the quarterback's eyes. When this ball is delivered, Smith is going for it. That's big contact, big collision, but it's the athletic ability of an Adrian Smith to read into the backfield, watch his receiver at the same time, and react to the football in the air.
Osbaldiston will kick to Mike Clemens, standing back near his 35. Pretty good kick with the breeze. Clemens fields it at the 30. Here comes the pinball. Hasn't taken one back for a while. In fact, about 3 years. And he'll wait a while in 97. But look where he has the Argonauts set up. Tackle made by Joe Romolo. And the pinball does it again. Mike Clemens had a nice little 35-yard return, but it's going for not called back on an infraction.
Well, it's tough to see what happens, but it's Jason Kaiser that gets hit by Johnny Harris, number 7, right there to the right of your screen. You know, Harris got the hands up. No, I didn't clip him, but he got caught, and what was a terrific return gets wiped out.
Argos will begin at the 35. Still no score at Ivor Wynne in Hamilton. 4:02 to go in the opening quarter. Robert Drummond. And another marker goes down. It's been tough to run against the Tiger Cats. We'll check out the infraction.
Major foul, roughing, number 99 Hamilton, first down Toronto.
That's Mike Philbrick.
Well, it's easy to say, but I mean, these are the kinds of things that when you're in tough in a game against a team like Toronto, you just can't do. And we'll see what, there's no question. I mean, he's down. It's a late hit. Mike Philbrick's a smarter player than that, but for some reason, he just thought he'd add a little extra punishment, but he ends up adding another 15 yards.
And that moves the Argos right out to midfield with a first down, low snap. It was direct to Drummond, and he takes out. Hitchcock has him lined up and forces him out. Back-to-back big plays for the Argos.
And you know what? It looked like a broken play because of the fumble, but it really wasn't, because they were pulling the backside tackle, Chris Giaskis. You watch the snap to Drummond, it's a counter, and he's coming back that way anyway. Looks like a broken play, but it really wasn't. And Giaskis got a good block, and Drummond got to the outside, but you know, that was a good-looking play. He just didn't handle the snap very well.
So not quite picture perfect, but very effective.
Well, Chris Giaskis, the right tackle, who graded out the best of all the offensive linemen last week, threw a heck of a block.
On first down, it's Drummond on a slight delay for a couple. One of the All-Canadians on the Argonaut offense in 1996, Robert Drummond. Number 1 in the league in touchdowns with 17 total.
And of course, Toronto has a good rushing game. All you think about them is Flutie and his passing and all pass crazy kind of offense. But they do run the ball very effectively, and they do what I think teams have to do in the 90s in the CFL. You have to pass to establish the run, and that's exactly how Toronto does it.
Gain is 4. This will be 2nd and 6. Argos at the Ticat 32. No score so far as Flutie shovels it ahead for Drummond, and that's plenty for the first down, down to the Tiger Cat 20. So this Hamilton defense has to find a little more inspiration here.
Well, when you run the option, you play a game against one player on the defense, and to the outside, it's Gonzalo Floyd. It's Gonzalo Floyd, 90. As soon as he goes to Flutie, that's Flutie's cue to pump it off to Drummond, and they do it to perfection. But somebody on the defense is going to be in a bind, whether it's the outside linebacker or the defensive end, and that time it was Floyd.
Now at the Ticat 20, 1st and 10, Toronto. Flutie all kinds of time, double coverage in the end zone on Darrell Mitchell, with Hitchcock breaking it up. Mitchell with 5 catches, just over 100 yards last week. But 42, Rob Hitchcock makes the play here with a little help from Gerald Vaughn.
Well, Gerald Vaughn was smacking his helmet because I think he was zeroed in on trying to make the interception, and all of a sudden Rob Hitchcock, which is his job to do, to come over and range across and make the play, he tipped it away from his own teammate.
Up to the Ticat defense here. Really good on 8 of 9. Facing 2nd and 10. Markers are down. Time count violation?
Well, no, it wasn't, because there was 1 second on the time count clock when they blew the whistle. So the Argos are pointing against Hamilton.
Offside, Hamilton, number 53, still 2nd down.
Joe Montfort. But all of a sudden it's 2nd and 5.
Well, there's Montfort at the top, and he just is getting a little edgy. He's coming on the pass rush, 2nd and 10. He wants to be the first guy in there, but he's just a little too quick.
He seemed to make an attempt to get back. Drummond, and he'll have the first down. He's inside the 5-yard line as Robert Drummond continues to pound away. Just 6 carries for 37 yards last week.
I'll tell you who got pounded that time was Kenny Wilhite, number 26. He was engaged with Felman Malvo, the blocker, and then all of a sudden when he gets free, Drummond bounces off here. Now watch near the end. Here comes Kenny Wilhite. Boom! That hurts. You got to take on the blocker, and then you get one right in the head from Drummond.
So look where the Argos are now, inside the 5-yard line. 1st and goal to go. They get 3 cracks at it from there. No score. 0-0. Drummond, Mike Clemens, I should say. And he is stopped for a loss of about a yard. Look back to that roughing penalty. That's a big part of this drive, because the Ticats had the Argos looking at 2nd and 10 back around the 40-yard line. All of a sudden they're at the 5.
Well, it's an easy thing to say, but you know, when you play a team of Toronto's caliber, you have to play as close to mentally error-free football as you can. And I mean, those are mental mistakes, silly pylons. And I'll tell you what, I know it drives Don Southern crazy. He's a pretty tough defensive guy that didn't make a lot of mistakes when he played for a Hall of Famer. And, you know, he hates that kind of football.
That's all in quarter number 1. Somewhat strangely, the Argos still out of the end zone as we send you back to the panel at TSN Football Control.
CFL Live at the Quarter is brought to you by Midas for new, longer-lasting carbon metallic brake pads.
And welcome back to CFL Live. Control Rod Smith along with Obi, Les, and Marty. And really, Les Brown, I would think a moral victory so far for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. The Argos are in scoring position, but I don't think too many thought it would be a scoreless game after 1 quarter.
Well, you know, they showed a stat about this, but Doug Flutie thrives on that opening drive. And he shows it gets really frustrated if you stop him on the opening drive. But containment is the key for Hamilton. Like I spoke at the beginning of the show, that if they contain this man, they have some success, which they did earlier. But here we show that Joe Mumford goes inside, leaves the containment wide open for Doug to get outside, and big yardage or big plays happen. It happened on a series after this, too, the same thing. And on a scramble, he threw a long pass to Dimitrition. So if they can stop him from doing that, they have some success.
Well, you know what, guys? There's still no doubt in my mind the Argos are going to win this game big, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe, you know, by saying that they're going to go 18-0 since day 1 of training camp, maybe these guys are a little overconfident. From a coaching perspective, what do you think, Bob?
Well, I think there's truth to that, Marty. I always felt like I didn't like to add fuel to the opponent's fire. I don't want to motivate the other team with my comments. I want our players to play, and actions speak louder than words.
Well, overconfident or not, the Argos are certainly in a battle right now through 1 quarter at Ivor Wynne Stadium. Scoreless, but they're knocking on the door. Back to Ivor Wynne now and John and Leif.
Ready to be in the 2nd quarter in Hamilton on a sunny afternoon. The Argos have a couple of cracks at it from the 5-yard line. Their star running back, Robert Drummond, being attended to.
Yeah, he just kind of walked down the field and took a knee. It's tough to tell what happened to him. But I thought it was interesting, Bob Abilovich's comments. I'm kind of from Obi's school on not fueling the fire with your opponents, but I'm just kind of wondering in Toronto's case, and this is just my unsolicited opinion, that they're head and shoulders above all the other teams right now. But if they don't just kind of play little games with themselves about this go undefeated kind of stuff. But I mean, I'm from Obi's school, but I think they're doing this for self-motivation.
Trying to find out what happened to Robert Drummond. He might have been rolled over here as you look at number 29 on the bottom of your screen. But he's in obvious pain at the 45-yard line. He was not the ball carrier on the previous play. But now making it under his own power back to the Argonaut bench, while his teammates take a couple of cracks at it from the 5-yard line.
And Matt DeBuck is listed as the backup running back, number 24. He's like pinball, 5'6", 170. So now you got two running backs that are like 240 pounds between them, and you're in a goal line situation.
But you do have number 2 and some receivers to go to, but it may not be the time to try and power it across. Although they've shifted Detrition in there now. However, Flutie is in the backfield by himself on second down. Pumps it out. He's got the touchdown. Felvin Malvo has his first CFL touchdown.
Well, again, Doug Flutie just doing that little extra to create some time for a receiver to get open. This time it was Felvin Malvo with his first professional touchdown in the Canadian Football League. And, you know, he came across the field. I mean, it's tough to chase these Argonaut receivers across the field, but he lines up way on the right-hand side. And as Flutie steps up, Malvo is able to have that little extra second to come free, and his defensive back can't stay with him.
So the Argos' march ends in a touchdown and a 7-0 lead on the Hamilton Tiger Cats on the opening plays of the second quarter. So Flutie, without Drummond in the backfield, found the new guy, Felvin Malvo, for a 5-yard TD. Took 8 plays to cover 75 yards. A big penalty against the Ticats helped that out for the Toronto Argonauts. And the scoring play, Doug Flutie to Felvin Malvo, a 5-yard toss for his first CFL TD. Here's Gino.
John, a couple of injury updates for you. First up from the Toronto Argonauts side of the ball, Robert Drummond is on the bench, says he took one in the midsection just below the ribs. Ribs are fine, but he's having trouble regaining his wind. He figures he should be back in the game pretty soon. From the Ticats side of the ball, Jason Kaiser, strained left hamstring. He's got an ice pack on it right now, is gone for the remainder of the first half. Depending on how he feels, he may be back for the start of the second half.
Ashande Smith on the return for the Tiger Cats, one of the newcomers. And he's dragged down around the 27-yard line.
And Gino's report becomes interesting because with Jason Kaiser out with the hamstring, the slight hamstring pull, he's the nickelback for Hamilton, and that's a big part of their defensive game plan today, is to have 6 and 7 defensive backs in there at one time. So if he's out, now they've got to change their plans maybe somewhat. Well, they could just go with 6 because they've got Melvin Aldridge as well, but they don't get to use that 7th defensive back.
Ticats on first down at the 28-yard line. Cavillo shotgun, looks to the near side and fired off target for Ted Long.
And
the heat coming?
Well, the heat was coming, but they're trying to work the side over to Adrian Smith, and they haven't had a sniff over on that side today. He's just sitting back 12 yards and reading the patterns in the zone defense and looking straight into the backfield. And I think if I'm Anthony Cavillo, I start to go to the right side a little bit. Check out Antonius Bonner and Marcelo Simmons on the corner.
That's where the changes were made on that side.
Let Adrian Smith just kind of sit over there with not a whole lot to do.
2nd and 10 over the middle, and that might have worked had he been able to connect with Ted Long. Cavillo behind his intended receiver.
What they're trying to do is on the 3-receiver trip side of the field, they're trying to clear out and then work underneath it. Here comes Ted Long underneath again, the clear out, and this ball is just poorly thrown. And, you know, we said in our opening, John, that Anthony Cavillo had to really have a hot hand today for Hamilton, and so far
he's been cold.
He's been kind of cold.
Or at least cool.
Cool. If he's doing this still in the third quarter, he'll be cold.
If he's doing it in the third quarter, he may be out.
Yeah, we may see Mike Colley if he's still cool in the third quarter.
The pinball awaits. Osbaldiston into the breeze this time. Standing at his own 15. return for the pinball. But great field position for the Argos at the 54-yard line of the Tiger Cats. Numbers from the opening quarter on the scoreboard, only 7 points. And fairly close when you look at this story as well. Although net yards certainly favoring the Argonauts on that last drive.
I guess the one thing that bothers me is only 22 yards in total offense for Hamilton, because I think most astute football people know if you can control the football against Doug Flutie, I mean, you stand a much better chance than having your defense have a great day stopping them. You keep the ball away from them, and 22 yards in one quarter just won't get it done.
And guess what? Flutie's got it back in a hurry, hitting on 80% of his passes so far today. To look deep, and he's on target for Masati's first catch of the day. 6 for 106 for the veteran Paul Masati a week ago, and his first touchdown of the year.
Is this guy not fun to watch? And he's just come off 3 1,000-yard seasons in a row, and you know, last week the opening game, you mentioned it, 6 catches, another 100-yard game, and now tonight another reception extends his pass catching streak to 54 games. And this guy is just awesome, and he's so unassuming. Not the fastest guy, not the biggest guy, just one of the best.
Well, just the most open guy a lot of the time.
And that's well put.
Argos 1st and 10, batted down. That was Gonzalo Floyd, number 90, getting a big mitt on the ball. Floyd missed last week, but he would have been on the opening day roster. He had an ankle problem and was forced to sit out.
And what he gives this team here, he comes from the outside up here. He gives this team a guy that'll get upfield in a hurry. He's working on the rookie Willie Williams, and he gets the big right hand up there at the last second. But he's a guy that can get the good, quick push up the field.
Tim Trisham to the near side on 2nd and 10. Flutie shotgun and shovels it ahead for Robert Drummond, who appears to be A-OK with a run like that after making the catch. I believe he'll have the first down on extra effort.
Doug Flutie using his backs a lot more today than he did a week ago against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and that's because the Ticats have shown him that 3-man front so much. When you're throwing the football, you know, it's tough to beat 9 guys, so the easiest thing to do a lot of occasions is to give it to your running backs, and that's why you're seeing Clements and Robert Drummond handle the football a little more this afternoon than they did a week ago.
There's a number, 10 first downs for the Argos. Ticats have 1, and this is close enough to measure.
But that's a deceiving number. It's the statistic that it's so deceiving. If you're not scoring points, that 10-1 really doesn't mean a whole lot. Now, that may start to add up, and the defense for Hamilton gets simply tired out. But right now, that's a misleading statistic because it hasn't hurt Hamilton.
Until that last drive of 75 yards with their
well, it may hurt him here
first downs.
It could be 14-0 for this guy in a couple of minutes.
Ticat defense came out fired up, and Flutie has already worn them down a little bit, but only has 7 points on the board for now. Mike Philbrick, the All-Canadian and right tackle, is being attended to by the Ticat medical staff. In fact, they're all getting a little water down there in an unofficial timeout as a result of this injury somehow.
Philbrick, week in, week out, he plays mostly on the nose on the 4-man and 3-man fronts that they use. He takes on the center and usually a guard on either side, so he's a real warrior in there. He's willing to take the pounding and the punishment to try and push that pocket week after week.
But a roughing penalty earlier will haunt him in the film room tomorrow here in the bowels of Ivor Wynne Stadium.
Yeah, he won't have a whole lot of excuses when that play comes
he'll be
out.
mad when the first quarter's gone by and he can concentrate on some of his better efforts.
You know, you're so right. I remember those film sessions, and when you had a real bonehead play coming up, I mean, there is nowhere to hide. You know you're going to get hecked for doing it.
So you hope it happened early is what you're saying.
Well, you hope it doesn't happen at all.
Yeah, but when you'd had that one on Sunday afternoon, let's do it in the first quarter so we can maybe yuck it up a little bit with a victory later in the show somehow. Flutie has another one batted down and another penalty marker. This time it was Joe Montford getting a hand on the ball. We'll check the infraction, but it could be holding in that area.
Well, not only is it holding against Gioscas that was trying to block Montford. Watch the move. He goes outside and then cuts underneath Gioscas, and Gioscas has to try and drag him down. Watch this real quick. Gioscas can't get the feet moving, and not only does he bat the ball down, he's going to have the holding penalty called against his guy.
Second down.
And see, that's what he gives you. You get Floyd on the other side, it's great upfield push, and then you get Montford, who's really a linebacker. You get him with the great speed. Pretty good guys on either end.
Good defense gives the Tiger Cats a chance to breathe and forces the Argos into 2nd and 10. Flutie for the pinball in open field. And Mike Pinball Clemens runs for a first down and draws a penalty on the late hit out of bounds. Was it Ring or another Tiger Cat who put Pinball into the wall? Hard to see close to the cement down there, but Eric Carter was also in the area.
Well, this is just Mike Clements with some terrific speed to get past Eric Carter on the outside. Now Carter has to try and fight through the block, and he loses the angle. And Pinball gets to the outside, picks up the first down. And tough to see who got the roughing penalty, but
I think it might have been Ring.
I mean, what are you thinking about? He's 2-3 yards out of bounds, and I believe it's Gerald Vaughn, 39, that got the penalty. I mean, there's two. That's silly. I kind of wondered about,
Gerald Vaughn.
going back a couple of plays when they had the holding call. You get 1st and 20 instead of, 2nd and 10. I don't know. I think I might have taken Toronto back a little farther, but that's two plays ago.
Obviously, it was an error because look where the Argos are now. First down inside the 10. Robert Drummond one-on-one, and he couldn't win that battle. Floyd on Robert Drummond in the open field, and Gonzalo won one there.
Rob Hitchcock, see him coming right up the middle safety. Now Flutie knows he's got man-to-man. That's usually a good matchup with Drummond out there, but everybody squares up. Floyd's out there, and 39, Gerald Vaughn, and they make a good stop on a tough back in the open field.
It's actually Vaughn that Drummond went up against, and Vaughn stood his ground, making this 2nd and goal to go. Ball on the 7.
And 4 receivers, watch the picks at the top.
Flutie to the end zone for the pinball. Couldn't bring it down. Vaughn was covering and got his hands down in a hurry.
Kind of looked like Gerald Vaughn got a little tug of the jersey there.
I'm not so sure.
You're going to see.
That wasn't the case.
Yeah, a little bit right there. I thought there was some right about here. But the referees say no harm, no foul, and Toronto will have to settle for a field goal attempt.
Pass was off the mark, but Pinball might have been slightly distracted. Moral victory for the Tiger Cats, holding the Argos to 3.
Boy, in Hamilton's defense, in one half of football, we've seen the defensive tackle Campbell drop off in pass coverage. We've seen safety blitz from Hitchcock. I mean, they are doing their best to mix it up and give Flutie different looks, but they're still going to be ahead by 10. I was assuming you'd make that.
Yes. I was not questioning the opportunity. Vanderjack, 1 for 1 this afternoon. The Argos 10, the Ticats, no score. Anthony Cavillo has completed just 2 of 9 passes so far and trails 10-0 as we bring in Gino Reda.
Well, John, you guys were chatting before about the possibility that maybe head coach John Southern is losing patience with Cavillo. Well, let me tell you this. When Cavillo was making mistakes early in the game, Southern was very, very vocal. Bringing Cavillo over, say, come on, kids, settle down. The last drive when Cavillo missed the open receiver, Southern just dropped his head in frustration, basically saying, I can't believe this is happening. It looks like Southern is losing patience. I spoke to Suds before the game, and he said to me he expected a lot more from Cavillo in the game against the Alouettes and expects much more from him in this game. And right now, he's just not delivering.
That's what I was talking about earlier, the confidence in this guy.
Well, and the problem is compounded because Don Southern does not have plan B. I mean, Mike Cauley is not plan B. I mean, this is Cavillo's team. He's going to be the guy.
Hamilton, number 89, first down repeated.
Andrew Grigg was trying to get the block on Adrian Smith there to free up the screen on Bert Thornton, and not only did Adrian Smith make a heck of a play, he drew the penalty as well. Adrian Smith's having a super first half.
So the Tigers Ticats get the completion to Thornton, then get called on the penalty and face 1st and 20. Cavillo to the far side to Wembley. Breaks one tackle, has room to the outside. Needs a big block, but he's caught from behind. Lester Smith finally ran him down, but Prince Wembley is the king of Hamilton for a moment anyway.
Yeah, and he makes a nice move right here to get away from Johnny Harris with a little sidestep to the outside, and then Reggie Gibbons has to try and chase him down, which he does. Talk about speed from a linebacker. Look how quickly Reggie Gibbons closed the gap on an inside slot Prince Wembley. The third.
Don't forget the third.
I think I'm going to.
26 yards the game. And Thomas gets the call. Marcus Thomas ran right into Rod Waldrop, the only All-Canadian on the Argonaut defense. 9 sacks in 1996 for Waldrop.
Yeah, 13 between Waldrop and Andrew Stewart last year, and that's great production from your tackles. I know we're having a look at Marcus Thomas right here. Only 8 carries a week ago, and so far I think only the 2 times that Hamilton's tried to run the ball on first down, they haven't been able to get much against Toronto.
A yard there. This is 2nd and 9. Cavillo stands in, and he's picked out looking for Thornton. Thornton fumbled the ball. It's back to the Tiger Cats. Put it in the book. That play works for Hamilton as Long comes up with the recovery.
Second and long. Toronto brings in Kelly Wilshire, number 26, as an extra defensive back, and he slides under and makes the terrific interception. And then I think his own guy, Adrian Smith, knocked the ball loose, and Ted Long recovers.
Ticats looking for breaks. Get one here.
And Kelly Wilshire coming in as the nickel back made a heck of a read to slide underneath that out pattern, and he just couldn't hang on to it after he got the interception.
Nice fake. And the play goes to Marcus Thomas as Cavillo faked once and then delayed the handoff to Marcus Thomas, who's better than halfway to a first down.
Well, this is what you need. If you're going to run the ball on first down, you need to really get some positive production. The fake pass, and everybody kind of backs off. You get a soft pass rush, and that allows the Hamilton offensive line to get some position and open a pretty good hole for Marcus Thomas. Now you're in a good spot. 2nd and 2.5 or 3. I mean, now Toronto doesn't know what you're going to do.
Cavillo has a target sliding out of the backfield, and he should have the first down.
Gonzalo Floyd.
That's why I was confused about the number, Leaf. I guess it wasn't sliding out of the backfield.
This is the new Brent the Toaster Williams. You know, you'd see Gonzalo Floyd coming out, and they go to the play fake, and that just freezes everybody. There's Floyd. He's the lead blocker. Now he's the lead receiver.
Ticats have the first down on the reception by Gonzalo Floyd. We'll watch for him on offense. That was a surprise. Cavillo has one more to Prince Wembley, but there's a marker down at the line of scrimmage. Things have quieted at Ivor Wynne all of a sudden in anticipation of the announcement by referee Ken Lazarek.
Holding Hamilton, number 57. First down repeated.
Well, St. Germain singled out there, one of the solid veteran members of the Tiger Cat offensive line. But everyone gets caught every once in a while.
Well, those are 3 big penalties that the Ticats have had today, and you know, the roughing, the piling on, and now this penalty stalling the, put you back in a tough 1st and 20.
From the 45, Cavillo ran well last week. He won't get away this time. Back to the line of scrimmage, and Michael O'Shea wrapped him up. O'Shea had 4 starts as an Argonaut last year after trying the NFL and then deciding to leave Hamilton when both teams were bidding for his services.
And he was coming up the middle on the blitz, and he gets rid of Doug Davies, the center, and chases down Cavillo. But the big thing about having Mike O'Shea in the lineup as middle linebacker, it allowed them to move Reggie Gibbons from the middle to the outside where he is better. Gibbons had been the middle linebacker. This makes them a stronger defense.
Second in a bunch, Cavillo sees another flag down as he connects with Prince Wembley, short of the first down, and most definitely this call is going against the Tiger Cats. Are you circling number 57 again?
Well, I think it was Val St. Germain. He's having a tough drive here, and I really do think it was they got him twice on this drive now.
Illegal block to the head. Hamilton, number 57. Second down repeater.
Not holding that time.
Head slap.
So someone's ears are ringing down there, Maxey or Stewart, right? Is that basic thought?
Now they'll take a head ringer for a 10-yard penalty anytime. In fact, that's what looked like a promising drive is going in reverse in a hurry.
This is 2nd and 30 as the Ticats have lost 10 yards in every play. Lee Knight makes a nice catch, but he's only about halfway back to the first down area. Still 15's better than nothing when you're getting set to punt here. The frustrations continue for the Ticat head coach, Don Sutherland.
And now Paulus Ballaston, he has to do his job. He hasn't done it that well so far in this first half, but he has again another opportunity to pin Toronto deep and make Doug Flutie play on a long field. And remember when he had a chance earlier, he shanked one. Now he's got a chance, and from here, Toronto's 42. You expect nothing short of getting them inside the 20-yard line, and nothing less than that is satisfactory.
Ballaston had one run back by Chris Wright of Montreal last week for 60 yards. His net punting average coming into this game was not terrific. This will sail for a long single if, in fact, pinball gives it up.
Yeah, and I don't agree with this. Why in the heck would you want to get 1 point when you're down only by 10 when you can pin Toronto deep? Now they get it at the 35-yard line. It's either bad coaching or a dumb play by his Ballaston.
He punted it right up the middle. So the Tiger Cats do get on the board, but the Argonauts have field position once more with a 9-point lead. CFL Live on TSN next week, beginning with the Stampeders trying to win their first and the Alouettes trying to win their third. We're in Montreal for that one on Thursday, or on Wednesday, I should say. Mike Clemens wrapped up by Gerald Bond. 3:57 to go till halftime. The Argos have all the numbers up on the Tiger Cats, but only a 9-point lead. Vaughn has been involved. He was beaten last week and taken out of the game against the Alouettes for a bit. Played in Calgary, of course, and last year in Winnipeg. In his 4, this will be 2nd and 6 Argos. There's early movement and flags everywhere.
Well, I think Chris Giaskos moved initially the right tackle for Toronto. That set everybody coming from Hamilton's side.
Flutie hitting on 74% of his passes last week.
Legal procedure. Toronto, number 65, still second down.
Well, they caught Willie Williams, or at least that's the number they're advertising. The left tackle, number 65. The only newcomer on that Argonaut offensive line.
He did a great job a week ago against Winnipeg, and I guess the biggest tribute you can pay to a young offensive lineman is we didn't mention his name. That's usually good.
He made it into week 2 without being mentioned.
That's good stuff when you don't get your name mentioned.
2nd and 11. Flutie stands up and delivers. Sidearm that, intending it for the pinball. And I think Calvin Tiggle had an opportunity. Did he get a hand on it?
He's got pretty good range in that middle linebacking spot. You know, we always knew he was good tackle to tackle against the run, but against the pass, he's really worked hard in his career with Toronto and now Hamilton. And I think he got a finger on it, or just enough to deflect it away from Mike Clements. And again, you know, this Hamilton defense, I think, has played a whale of a first half. They just have had no support from their offense. I mean, this is as good a job as you're going to do against Toronto. Sure, they got 10 points, but my goodness, how many first downs has the offense had? 2?
Maybe 2.
3.
Okay, 3.
I knew I wouldn't get that by George Cootie without.
No, he was right on top of that.
See, I say that, and then I peek down at the end of the table to see if he's listening. And he was. 3 first downs for Hamilton. Not enough.
These two guys are having a lot of fun.
Well, you know, I had dinner with Don Matthews on Tuesday night, and
who bought?
I bought. I'll go on record. But I invited him, and he had me out to dinner earlier when he bought, so it was my turn. But to listen to him talk about his team, I mean, it's really fun because not only does he have great players and he's a great coach, but he has great admiration for each and every one of his players. And he said, you know, they're all stars to him. They all do their jobs so well. And, you know, he really thinks that this team is better than it was a year ago. And that's kind of a scary thought.
I heard about that dinner. Where was it? At Mama Mia's?
Mama Martino's. Oh, yeah. It's where all the big shooters go to eat. Well, Donnie's pretty happy with his team. The receiving core is better. Well, the receiving core is better than it was a year ago. That's good. I think the defense is better. All 12 guys on defense played a year ago. I mean, they all know each other. And they're chasing Montreal, though. Montreal off to a nice 2-0 start. And Toronto would like to catch them after this afternoon's game. And, of course, the Bombers, I think they'll be better. They come to Hamilton.
That's the game next week, I think.
I'll be here with yourself and David Archer.
Could really use a big return. They don't get it. Michael O'Shea was right there to wrap up Steinauer. 51-yard punt. And the Bluebirds are already out for Anthony Cavillo.
Well, I really don't blame them in Hamilton. You know, they've been promised a lot of things over the years, and they've been promised an exciting offense. Last year, John Jenkins was here. He's now in Toronto as their offensive coordinator. But, you know, they put up with a lot here in Hamilton. And, I mean, they're not getting their money's worth with this offense this afternoon so far. And those numbers support that the job is not getting done.
5 of 11 now for Cavillo. He may be short a weapon or 2 overall. Matt Cody would look pretty good back there. That play worked before, and it works again for about 6. As Cavillo fakes the pass and then slips it to Thomas. The fake is interesting, but I'm not so sure this will work all afternoon.
Well, what you do with the fake is you just try to get the linebackers to take one step backwards, so at least you get some push against them and get them off snugged up to the line of scrimmage, as Toronto's linebackers are on first down. I mean, they've got 8 guys up in the line of scrimmage right now.
5 yards to gain, 2nd and 5. Cavillo stumbles getting out of there, throwing on the run, and he's intercepted. Picked off by Adrian Smith. Looking for Thornton.
Well, it all started with the pressure by Rob Waldrop, the All-Canadian, up the middle, and here he comes right there. There you see the pressure. Now Cavillo's got to try and dump it loose, and Adrian Smith, who's had a heck of a first half, gets the interception. Only seems right that he would get it, but Waldrop comes free, and now the pick occurs.
It's like picking cherries up there for Smith.
Well, it all started with the missed assignment up front. With 8 guys in the line, there wasn't enough to block, and Cavillo pays the price.
Flutie for Drummond. Little sidearm shovel pass.
Well, you know who's played well for Hamilton is Gonzalo Floyd. He did not play a week ago. Willie Whitehead was in there, and he comes in and replaces him, but he's knocked the ball down, and Whitehead with the ankle, but Floyd has knocked the ball down. He's come in, he just made the play there, and it looks like of anyone else on defense between he and Joe Montford, they've got the most enthusiasm out there in the first half.
Gain of less than a yard, 2nd, 9.5. Argos at the Ticat 54. Malvo away from 1. And paid the price on the other side as Steinauer came up to make the tackle. Elman Malvo had has the touchdown for the Argonauts and a 5-yard toss from Flutie at the beginning of the second quarter. Minute 57 till halftime, and we'll check out the infraction here.
So I think Les Brown in the studio talked about trying to frustrate Doug Flutie, and sometimes that can really work to your advantage. And you know, I get the feeling right now that, I mean, Doug does not want to keep throwing underneath the coverage, and sooner or later that might bug him, and you never know, you might make him make a mistake. But right now, with rushing just 3 and 4 people, dropping 8 and 9, you know, Flutie's on 2nd and long, he has to throw underneath, and that's not his style. And I think what Les is saying may come true later on in this game.
Vanderjack with the win. Ken Wilhite had a tough week last week, needs a big return to get out of the doghouse, and gets the zip.
What a difference in the kicking game. Mike Vanderjack gets it deep to the sidelines, and now Hamilton starts in their 10, where Paul Osbaldiston had an opportunity on 2 or 3 occasions to do that and has not been able to get it done here in this game.
This is not pretty on the quarterbacking matchup with Cavillo versus Flutie, and the numbers posted so far. 127 yards on 16 of 21. Cavillo has tossed a couple of interceptions and only 67 yards.
You know, that 127 yards that Flutie has really tells you the defense and supports what we're saying about Hamilton's defense. There you go right here. I mean, normally if you complete 16 balls, you're going to have more yardage than that. But when you only rush 3 and drop 9, it just tells you they have told Flutie the only way you're going to complete balls is underneath, and that's what exactly is occurring. I think the defense should be happy with 127.
Here's what the Ticats have to do now on first down is escape without allowing any more Argonaut points. That means move the ball a little bit. Cavillo on the run, and he spins out of bounds after a 5-yard gain. Reggie Gibbons tracked him down. Cavillo had 4 carries for 42 yards last week.
Reggie Gibbons so versatile. Tim Cofield was the starting rush end a year ago. Reggie Gibbons was playing in the middle. Well, Cofield had an awful year with injuries, and Gibbons had to go and play the rush end. He played outside, he played the middle. And boy, in this league, when you can show yourself to have some versatility, you can last for a long time.
Gibbons had 6 tackles last week against Winnipeg. Cavillo faces 2nd and 5, got a bad snap, but has a chance to get it away, and fired for Thornton, who had an opportunity there. Maybe should have made the catch.
You know, maybe Hamilton and everybody on the Hamilton side is a lot smarter than I am, but I mean, they've had Adrian Smith with an interception. He's had some knockdowns. He's been around the football all day. You might want to just try the other side for a while.
Well, you suggested that a while ago, didn't you?
But for some reason, they persist in coming back to that side. And you know, Don Blackwelder, he's the new offensive coordinator here. Maybe he sees something that they're trying to work on. But I think they might want to try number 9, Marcelo Simas, and Antonius Bonner on the other side.
Well, here's what I was saying, Lee. If it's 2 and out, the Ticats are kicking now. The Argonauts will have great field position. Will certainly have a good opportunity to add some points. But Clemens is chased back across the 50 and nailed at the 55 right at midfield by Melvin Aldridge. 48-yard punt, Osbaldiston's best effort. That into the breeze. But there's 1:24 on the clock till halftime, and that gives Flutie plenty of time to find some more points.
God, I said a week ago, this is where I enjoy watching Doug Flutie the most, is in the 2-minute drill, and he's going to get a good opportunity to work on it with 1:24 to go here.
Pretty good bet that Mazzotti will be involved in this drive.
Well, I'll tell you what, Paul Mazzotti, he is fun to watch, and certainly admire the way he's crafted his football abilities over the years. I started off never quite sure if he was going to be a really good receiver, but he's just done nothing but work hard, and good things have come as a result.
Mike Clemens has about 3 as he's wrestled down by Frank West. And the pinball has had some wonderful years in Canadian football. It's hard to think that there's ever been a brighter smile in this game than Mike Clemens.
Well, I mean, if you had a son, you'd sure like him to mold himself after the way pinball carries himself, both on the field and off. He is a true role model, and there's not enough of them.
2nd and 6. As promised, Paul Mazzotti gets involved in the drive. Mazzotti had a great afternoon in Ivor Wynne Stadium. when there was snow on the turf and too few tractors last November, if you recall.
I recall.
There were only 2 John Deeres out there, and they needed about 8. But Mazzotti caught 6 for 100 yards that afternoon. 54 till halftime. Breakdown looks deep, and Drummond didn't miss by much, barely off his fingertips, and Flutie ended up on the turf.
And Orlando Stenhour, the corner, was lucky because he thought they were going right back to Mazzotti on the same play, and he jumps Mazzotti and lets Robert Drummond go free in behind him. The pump fake right there, and that grabbed Stenhour the corner, and there was nobody for Drummond. There you see 22, Stenhour. He's dead in the water, and that was a free one. Doug just couldn't connect.
Philbrick adding a little late pressure on Flutie and throws him down. 2nd and 10. Flutie has pinball, and he has nowhere to go. Frank West had him wrapped up. The Ticat defense has played some inspirational football at times this afternoon. There's a big series for them here.
They really have, and what's so in vogue these days is to have a converted defensive back play linebacker, and Frank West, for this simple reason right now, he can cover running backs better than linebackers can, and he shows you why right there. He's all over Pinball Clements, and Toronto will have to settle for a field goal attempt. That's the reason why you try and convert that special kind of guy that maybe can take on the run a little bit too, and you move that DB to linebacker. Frank West, who came over from Ottawa, has fit the bill for Hamilton.
Vanderjagt 3 for 3 a week ago. His longest 44. This will be his longest of the season if he makes it. From 48, there's a marker down. He finds the uprights, and we'll check on the infraction before adding those points to the Argo total. Looks like a procedure call against Toronto. So some options to look over here with 28 seconds on the clock till halftime.
Well, Vanderjagt's going to be moved back another 5 yards, but he stroked that kick so smoothly. I mean, distance certainly won't be a problem.
And a bit of a breeze at his back.
I think if you can lip read Don Matthews, he's saying to one of his players, report.
I heard him. O'Shea.
Yeah, he's on the line of scrimmage with an ineligible number, so you have to report that if you're the end man out, which he is.
Legal procedure, Toronto, number 50.
See, Mike O'Shea, if we'd get a shot of it, I'll show you. He's the end at the bottom of the screen. There he is, and you have to report if you have an ineligible number, as he does. There he is, right out there. And so this time, I'm sure he reported.
He got the message. Here's Vanderjagt from 5 yards further. And this one is well wide. And he will hike. Wouldn't this be something? Not to be. Out to about the 7-yard line. Ticats will stop the bleeding at halftime.
I'll tell you, Mike O'Shea threw himself into that pileup on Kenny Wilhite with a little frustration, as he knows it was his play that cost his team 3 points.
That's a better deal reporting that they've changed in the Canadian Football League rather than throw on those silly over jerseys.
Yeah,
remember?
I didn't like that.
Hey?
I never had to do it, but I'm with you. I didn't like it either.
Now you look down and a couple of guys out there have got 2 numbers, and you wonder who 79 is, or some number out there.
Mike's a little rattled. He was going to go off the field and discuss, but he had to come back because the defense is on the field. That little silly penalty is really bothering him, I can tell you that.
17 seconds till halftime. Ticats down by 9 to the Argonauts, who didn't score touchdown number 1 until the opening moments of the second quarter. So Hamilton's defense has done a decent job at times.
Well, I think if you ask Don Southern right now, he'd be thrilled with his defense.
Actually, more than decent.
He's just got to light a cannon cracker under that offense because, you know, it can't continue like this. I mean, sooner or later, their defense is just going to get tired out, and it's the final start for Toronto.
Ticats are hanging in. The halftime show is next, with the Argos on top with Hamilton 10-1 at Ivor Wynne Stadium on CFL Live.
Hi, and welcome to CFL Live at the Half, a half that is a lot closer for the Hamilton Tiger Cats maybe than it should be. And Marty, they knew at the beginning of the year, they knew before that offense would be a problem, and it's only 9 points, you could say, but it seems like 90 the way Cavillo and company are playing right now.
Rod, I mean, I'm baffled. The Tiger Cats spent the entire preseason working on a running game, and all of a sudden now they've decided to abandon the running game and use this passing attack with Calvillo in shotgun formation. He's playing with receivers he obviously doesn't know. His timing is way off. He's not clicking at all. And he's completed 5 passes in 12 attempts for 67 yards and 2 interceptions. That was the one way he could get a first down. But, I mean, there's a real strange philosophy going on here.
Marty,
do you abandon a running pack after 1 week?
That's all it is. Marty, they got smart. They started talking about they're going to run the ball down people's throat, and you can't do that in this league. You have to set up the run by passing. So they got smart. That's the only thing that happened.
No question. It was questionable philosophy to begin with, but now...
Let me say this. Coach Southern, since he's been the head coach with Hamilton, he's had problems getting an offensive coordinator and to get his offense in sync. Every year he's been there, he's had problems with somebody running their offense, and now they're in the same type of a situation. They're not sure where. One of his problems is when you say throwing the ball, it's because their receiving core, they've got 2 guys that were 1,000-yard receivers out there. Winfield and Cody were their 2 best receivers last year.
And it's like Calgary. They're missing 2 important
And, you know, they're going to
ingredients.
try and run the ball, and then now they want to throw it, but they don't have the same kind of guys to catch it.
You know, I asked you guys on the Friday night telecast if you thought Calvillo was good enough, and you both said yes.
I think so.
I still do.
I still do,
the man
too.
threw for over 500 yards in 1 game. Of course, this man is good enough.
But he's certainly not Matt Dunnigan. That's all I'm going to say.
You got to have the weapons to throw to.
Yeah.
If you don't have the weapons to throw to, just like in Calgary right now, they're missing 2 very important ingredients in that offense, and so is Hamilton.
A point about the Argo offense, or Hamilton, the way they're playing defensively, because you spoke, Les, earlier about how they have to contain Flutie, but also how the corners have to work from the outside and keep everybody inside.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's taught to you as a kid to make sure that you take the player and make him run into your help that's coming from the inside out. See, now here, Eric Carter, he goes inside out, and he leaves all kind of running room for a guy who knows and he's got all the experience in the world. He sees that daylight, he's going to take it. Now we have a play right here where we're going to show you how to do it the right way. The corner actually goes out, and he makes the man come inside to the help, and the inside man comes in and helps him out like he's supposed to. And there's no gain, hardly. 3-yard pass, you know.
Having said that, though, the Argo offense is underachieving woefully as well.
Well, I think you got to give credit to the type of defense Hamilton's playing. You've seen a real tendency in this first half. The Argos are running the ball a lot more, trying to get underneath the passing defense that Hamilton's running. And what it's doing is it's slowing down their offense. Doug likes to throw it and make big plays, but Hamilton's, you know, bending but not breaking, and if their offense could do something, they'd be in pretty good shape.
If you look at Hamilton's defense on paper, they are a good defense. They just have to come out and play like it every time, and these little things that happen with containment and stuff is what's hurting them, because they are making some big plays in there. They're still in the game because of their defense.
You still got to score points.
They do at that, and they're down by 9 points. It could have been worse. How many times have we said that? The Argos leading 10-1 at the half. CFL Live will resume right after this.
CFL Legends, brought to you by
What a week we have coming up on TSN. Week 3, starting off with the Stampeders and the Alouettes. DC at Edmonton, Winnipeg at Hamilton, and the Argos. After this game, looking forward to Saskatchewan. Welcome back to CFL Live at the half. Well, speaking of Calgary at Montreal, the Stampeders now without slot back Gerald Wilcox, who yesterday announced his retirement. Obviously, some frustrating times with him recently coming over in a trade from the Blue Bombers, Obi, but very ineffective in a Calgary uniform.
Yes, I think this is a surprise because I know when they made the trade, Coach Bono thought that his experience and the play that he has demonstrated in the past was going to make them, you know, more balanced in their offense. And, you know, maybe Gerald Wilcox, from an attitude standpoint, I think that was the big thing that Coach Reinbold was concerned about when he made the trade. Maybe his heart isn't in it this year like it has been in the past.
Well, guys, I think Wilcox was disappointed to find out that he wasn't going to be the main man in that offense. I'm hearing a rumbling, by the way, that the Stampeders may go after Dave Sapunjas, try to bring him out of retirement, and he'd fill that spot adequately, I think.
Well, it's important to note that Wally Buono, the quote I read anyway, I did not speak with Wally Buono, but didn't sound like he made a tremendous effort to talk Wilcox out of retirement, unless one thing Wilcox had said, he missed his son. He has a 4-year-old back in Winnipeg, and maybe that was a little bit of a difficulty on him as well.
Well, you know, I don't know. I I have to comment on this honestly from my heart on how I used to handle situations like that, because when I left Hamilton, my family and my home was still in Hamilton. And I left to go to play in Winnipeg, and I went to go play in Ottawa and then BC. You're going to miss your family, but those are excuses. You are taught to be mentally tough to go out and handle all these situations so you don't have to worry about it, and you can keep in contact with them by phone, fly them out to visit you, but still, you have to go out and play football.
So a personal element, but also it should be pointed out, Gerald Wilcox had just the one catch in the 2 games, shutout entirely against BC, so that had been a problem. Now, Calgary at Montreal Thursday. Other news, big news coming out of Montreal that night, Marty.
Yeah, Rod, as a matter of fact, there's going to be an interesting meeting going on between all general managers and executives from most of the CFL clubs and about 8 or 9 executives from the NFL, as well as a couple from the Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs, New England Patriots. These are people who are going to help instruct CFL, and particularly the Alouettes, on how to market. It could alter the entire marketing approach of the CFL. It's going to be an interesting meeting.
In Montreal, I don't know how in the world it's going to help them. I mean, they can talk to you blue in the face, but you got to get people to get interested in football. And with a good football team like Montreal has, I don't see how you can't just go to a game and enjoy it, you know, but they're not.
Well, I think that the fact that at least they're making this effort and getting people that know how to market their product. The NFL markets their product about as good as any professional league in sport. And I think that that's a positive, at least trying, because, hey, the Expos are a great team in Montreal, and they're not drawing either.
Well,
so let's do something positive.
I think that every team in the CFL should be involved in this meeting then. Because no one's doing an excellent job in in marketing.
And they readily admit that now. So they are all going to try to attend. I don't know if every club in the CFL will be represented, but I know that they were all invited.
Well, they say one of the keys is put a winning team on the field, and you can't accuse the Montreal Alouettes of not doing that. They are the top team right now in the CFL East. A look at the standings as we take a break. We'll be back. As usual, we are live and interactive here at TSN, and here is your QB1 update through the half at Ivor Wynne Stadium. A half that, yes, saw the Argo offense sputter a bit, but Hamilton's really sputter, trailing Toronto 10-1, and the stats would certainly bear that out of the Ticats struggles offensively. Back to John and Leaf.
Well, Rod, I think when you look at this game, as far as the Hamilton Tiger Cats are concerned, you have to say it could have been worse. 9 points isn't insurmountable for the Tiger Cats if they can find an offense.
It's not insurmountable, but they've got to get something going offensively to take a little heat off the defense. I mean, the halftime numbers, the statistical numbers are pretty interesting here when you look at this. I mean, Toronto, not a bad first half because Hamilton played some defenses that made them throw underneath. But when you look at Hamilton's total offense of 81 yards, I mean, that is really tough to win a lot of ball games when you're doing that. So it's very simple. I mean, there's not a lot of turnovers, not a lot of real sloppy play. I think just the big difference right now is Hamilton just hasn't had anything going their way.
Well, I guess the big problem for the Ticats is you look into the second half, the defense played pretty darn well, but the defense can't stay out on the field as long in the second half as they did in the first half.
Well, there's going to be 12 awfully tired guys for Hamilton if it continues on this way. But, you know, I go back to what Les Brown said, and I said this in the second quarter. Some of the best ways to defense Doug Flutie are to get him frustrated, and I sense that he may be a little frustrated.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
He likes to get it downfield a little more, so, well, we'll see how that develops.
Well, one thing we have noted, Rod, it is a fierce battle, and as always, when these two teams get together. Back to TSN in Toronto, and an update from Teresa Cruz coming up.
That's the story at halftime. We want to be on TSN. Give us $5, kids, and you can be. Well, you're already on. So this is a freebie. Ticats and the Argonauts renewing acquaintances at Ivor Wynne. We talked about it at halftime. It could have been worse for Hamilton. The offense simply did not move the football. The defense holding the Tiger Cats in and frustrating Flutie at least a little bit. 19 of 25 for 145 yards.
Well,
Cavillo struggled.
I guess we should maybe qualify that. We're just assuming that he's a little frustrated by it. I mean, those aren't bad numbers at all.
I said just at least a little bit.
Yeah, you know, it's not what he wants to do is throw underneath coverage, but of course, on the other hand, Doug's smart enough to know that if that's the way you're going to win a game, sometimes you have to bite the bullet and just continue on and do that.
And he'll
on the other hand,
a few less touchdowns.
Yes. On the other hand, Hamilton's hoping he does get frustrated. Maybe he tries to force one and they can get a chance to create a turnover or something.
Last week, Flutie was good on 29 of 39, 438 yards. So
totally different kind of defense, though. Winnipeg was rushing 6 and 7 people, a lot of blitzing, totally different kind of defense than Doug Flutie has seen today.
Second half is underway, and a short kick taken by the pinball Mike Clemens. And the Argos will start about the 32. Our man on the sidelines, Gino Reda, had a chat with the Ticat coach.
Coach, a slow start for the team, but you're only down by 9, so I guess you've got to be encouraged by that.
Oh, we are, but we got to be able to move the football. We got to be able to get some first downs and put some points on the board. Other than that, we're hanging right in there with them.
We talked a couple days ago while you were getting ready for this game, and you said that you were a little concerned about Anthony Cavillo and his development, his ability to read the defense, his ability to find the receivers. I guess you're concerned even more now after the first half.
We are, but he's, you know, we have some receivers open. He just got to get comfortable and start throwing the football to him. That's it.
Have you begun to think about making a change?
Well, we're going to stick with Anthony for a while.
All right, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Flutie missed pinball Clemens while you were listening to Don Southern.
Don Southern says, well, we're going to stick with him for a while. Well, I alluded to the fact that plan B is not really something that they have, a great experienced quarterback to go to in a situation where your starter's not playing well. So
Mike Cawley is likely about plan C at this stage of things.
Well, they're going to hang with AC, as they call him here in Hamilton, number 13, and hope that he can just work through this and generate something.
Argos 2nd and 10 at the 32. Leading by 9. Flutie has time and has Drummond on the far side for another Toronto first down.
You know, we talked about Adrian Smith and how he looks into the backfield and reads quarterbacks. That time, Orlando Stenauer, the corner up at the top of your screen, he gets caught when Flutie's looking to the wide side of the field. See, he's looking in there, and he gives Drummond all kinds of room. He doesn't pay any attention, and Flutie had the protection and the time to go backside and find him.
16 yards for Drummond, first down Toronto. Flutie has Drummond again, this time well read by the Ticat defense as Steinauer moves up to help with the tackle.
And a lot of times what they do when they put Robert Drummond out at wide receiver, that formation is done for a purpose, because quickly you're going to get a read on what the defense is going to be, because if they shift a linebacker out like Justin Ring, well, then you know it's man-to-man. If they don't, you get zone, and with Drummond out there wide receiver and they don't put the linebacker, that's a good time to throw that kind of screen, although it didn't get much yards.
To this side this time, and Clemens couldn't hang on. The pass was there. The pinball couldn't squeeze it.
You know, it's funny, John, I like to watch all the players in the warm-up to see what kind of warm-up they're having, and quite frankly, Mike Clemens had a tough warm-up today. He dropped a lot of footballs, and, you know, he's dropped 2 in a row now to begin this second half, and it's funny. He had a tough warm-up, and it's carrying over into the game somewhat for him.
He did make a couple of plays in the first half, however, as Vanderjack on 3rd down sails one down to Wilhite, who hasn't had a return all day.
Boy, he had a missed field goal for 118 yards in preseason against Toronto for a touchdown.
Then he had a tough week last week. He conceded a single point at the 5-yard line last week against Montreal, which put Hamilton at the 5-yard line instead of either giving up the point and taking it at the 35. So that was a little mental error that got him in the doghouse. Cavillo tries to work his way out now, using the shotgun a lot more this week than a week ago. And this one is batted down, live ball, but it floats to the turf at the 10. Oscar Giles, number 94, got his hands up and knocked it down.
One of the few times Toronto comes with a blitz, you'll see right here the tackle moves down, and that frees Oscar Giles to the outside. There's nobody to block him. See, the left tackle, Jude St. John, has to take the blitzing Kelly Wilshire, and for some reason Giles then just comes free. They didn't have enough men up front. Toronto outmanned them on that front line.
Bert Gordon and Ted Long to the near side. 3 receivers to the wide side of the field. Cavillo stumbled momentarily, has a little open field, has Long, and he's very close to a first down, forced out by Adrian Smith.
It's a Tiger Cat first down.
7 Second catch for long. It's a Tiger Cat first down.
Well, the initial penetration was coming again from Giles, so Cavillo bails it to the outside, and rather than try and run for it, he finds Long, who just kind of hangs forever on the sidelines. That's a good catch. You know, he was forced out of bounds, and he got it out, so the catch stands.
Now at the 30 with a first down. A little room to move. And Thomas couldn't make the catch for 33. One reception for 4 yards a week ago, and 8 carries for 20. Mike Saunders might look pretty good in this Ticat backfield.
Well, they let him go, and he's in Toronto now on the practice roster. But that time, Marcus Thomas and Ted Long were both side by side out there. You know, you have to wonder, you know, the mix-ups with the offense today. It just doesn't seem like it's very crisp. I know Cavillo hasn't really been on target, but the offense in general just doesn't look sharp.
Well, they've made a lot of changes as far as what they're thinking of doing, as we talked about, moving a little more to the shotgun, getting away from the twin back running game. Mike Morreale can't make that catch. Toronto was an Argo a year ago on the Grey Cup team.
It's funny how you change from one half to the other. Toronto was very content to just rush 4 in the first half. Now they start the third quarter by coming with 7 people, and Mike Morreale should have probably had that catch, a former Argonaut, but Toronto starting the third quarter and giving Anthony Cavillo a whole new look to think about.
Pinball is deep. Osbaldiston at his 15. And actually, the pinball isn't that deep as Osbaldiston kicks into the wind. Clemens waits for it near his 40-yard line, about the 42. Kick into the wind, and here comes Mike Clemens, and one pretty good return in the first half, and that was called back on a bad block. 50-yard kick for Osbaldiston there. The Argos are set up near the 40-yard line with a first down and leading by 9. CFL Live continues from Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton. Home opener for the Tiger Cats. Mike Philbrick, an All-Canadian in 1996. Let's bring in Gino.
And right now, John, Mike's playing a little bit hurt. Late in the first half, Philbrick put a big stick on Robert Drummond right outside the sideline, just inside the sidelines, rather. Broke a small bone in his left hand. They put a cast on it during the half, and now he's back out there playing hurt, but he's back in the lineup. He's one defensive tackle they can't be without.
Very valuable. 5 sacks in 96, 52 tackles as well for Mike Philbrick. And one little indiscretion here on the Argo touchdown drive, a roughing play that helped the Argos keep it rolling. Flutie decided to run, and that was a planned play. Talked about him earlier. He said about half the times he ran the football last week were all part of the plan. Another couple of times they were ad-libbed.
Interesting that they ran the quarterback draw to Gonzalo Floyd's side, where they're expecting him to get a real upfield, outside, contained kind of pass rush. And you figure he'd be an easy guy to run that play. Now they got 8 yards, but he still did come back and make a play on it.
Second down, and Drummond is stood up by Calvin Tiggle and then nailed by Justin Ring. Ring has had a pretty good afternoon.
Well, Mike Philbrick, you wondered with his hand, broken hand, here he comes. Watch how he fights through Mike Kiselak, the center's block, and makes the play in the backfield. He stands Kiselak, All-Canadian, straight up and gets the first hit on Drummond. Then he gets some help from his friends. But talk about a heck of a play. Philbrick plays on the nose most of the time, broken hand and all, and he still gets the penetration and a super play.
That forces an Argonaut third down, and Vanderjack bounces one for Ken Willite with the Ottawa Roughriders, and a good return guy last year. He hasn't been able to get it going this afternoon. A 40-yard kick and absolutely no return. So the Ticats start down around the 20-yard line, still down by 9.
The CFL Live on TSN. is brought to you in part by Midas for new, longer-lasting carbon metallic brake pads.
Ticats beginning at the 15-yard line. For the first down, Cavillo bobbled the snap, and that's been the kind of day it's been for number 13, Anthony Cavillo. I guess the good news is he got it back. Head-to-head, he has been no match for Flutie. 6 of 17, 2 interceptions. Ticats got one of those right back when the return was fumbled.
Toronto showing their version of a 3-man rush. Kelly Wilshire comes in as the nickel back, so you got 6 defensive backs and 3 down linemen.
Batted down. The big charge was on again. It's Giles. One more time. Second time he's been through to bat one down.
Well, you know, they're just out manning Hamilton up front, and Hamilton just can't read it quickly. Cavillo not getting rid of the football again. You get coming down through there. That takes the tackle down, and pretty easy for Oscar Giles to come in and get on Cavillo in a hurry. See, they just don't have enough people up front. Toronto bringing 8 people, and you've only got 6 people in, 1 back and 5 linemen, so you're going to get the mismatch somewhere. And that's the second time now in the third quarter Toronto's created that mismatch.
And it's can't miss field position for the Argos here with Osbaldiston 3 yards deep in his end zone.
Well, you know, Bill Bradley's the defensive coordinator of Toronto, and obviously now he is not worried about Hamilton's receivers beating someone downfield, so he's saying, let's have some fun up front and create some pressure.
Good kick by Ozzie. Fielded and not returned very effectively because of the Ticat coverage by the pinball, Mike Clemens. Well, this guy's done just about everything there is to be accomplished in Canadian football. He was here last November 17th, and the Argos beat the Eskimos 43-37. Jimmy the Jet Cunningham all the way on a snow-covered turf here at Iverwin.
He found one of those tracks from the John Deere you talked about, the 2 John Deeres that were here. He picked the 1 lane open.
There was only 1 lane open there.
He got on the fast lane to that touchdown. What a game that was.
Now, the John Deeres did a pretty good job. They're just burning up with them. Flutie under pressure, and he fired that one out of bounds.
Now you go back and talk about that Grey Cup of a year ago. What a selling game for the CFL, and Doug Flutie wanted to show everybody that he could play in cold weather. You know, he was happy it was a horrible day like that.
I know.
Adrian Smith, who's had a heck of a game today, ran one back for a touchdown, and
I think that's what Lancaster still thinks is what cost them the game, not the non-fumble.
That was a fumble.
That was a fumble. The fumble that wasn't called.
Yes.
But the interception really hurt the Eskimo cause that day. The Eskimos were awfully close. Flutie. That's the newcomer, Andre Kerwan.
Boy, he showed me something there. The rookie Andre Kerwan took a big whack over the middle, and this is how you test someone's mettle to see what kind of football player they're going to be for. This is not a fun place to go. They show you the option, but they're intending to pass all the way, but he takes a heck of a shot right there. Couldn't quite tell who it was. I think it was Gerald Vaughn, but he hangs on to the football, and you know, he showed us something right there.
What's interesting is that the Argos have added 5 Canadian rookies to this lineup, including Kerwan.
And they got Chad Folk, offensive lineman. He is good.
Flutie has it fired up now and finds the pinball, who steps out about halfway to a first down. There's a marker in the Ticat secondary. We'll check that out. Other newcomer Canadians include Chad Folk and Jeremy O'Day on the offensive line. Matt DeBuck, who they're very high on. Kerwan. And I'm missing one. Where's the other one? On defense. Kelly Wiltshire. They say is pretty speedy halfback.
Number 65, first down repeated.
And you know what? They're all starting to get a little bit of playing time, too, because Kelly Wilshire's been brought in as a nickel back today, playing a little bit of linebacker, a little bit of defensive back. Now, Andre Kerwan, he's getting a chance. He's caught a ball today. And, Willie Williams, first time we've had to mention his name today. He's not old, he's rookie. He's done a pretty good job blocking on Flutie's blind side. You've got to have a lot of faith in the tackle that plays on that side.
Flutie looking at 20. As a target and a reception, Darrell Mitchell, who was good on 5 of 105 for 103, and that's his first today.
So you talk about Toronto as a defending Grey Cup champions, total season 17-3 a year ago. They've made some nice additions to your ball club. The worst thing you can do is stand pat and just keep the same team you had. You need some natural attrition each year. You need some younger guys to blend in. They have all kinds of enthusiasm. And Toronto, Eric Tillman, now the general manager, they've done a terrific job creating some new openings for some very, very good young ball players.
This is 2nd down and 7. Flutie swings it out to Clemens, who'll have the first down. Don Matthews' quote on the 97 argues, faster, younger, better.
And I think he's right. And they put a new wrinkle in this week where they run the option. And there you see the inside guy, Clemens. He looks like he might be leading as Drummond comes. So you either fake the option or you throw if Clemens isn't covered. And man, oh man, that's a tough play to defend. You see nobody near Clemens, but that's now another new wrinkle off the option that Toronto's had so much success with.
1st and 10, Argos at the Ticat 16 as Flutie shoveled it back to Drummond. Philbrick was there, number 99 for 1. Ticat defense has come up with big plays, but as we talked at halftime, they cannot stay out there forever. The offense has to move the football one of these times.
Slowly, Toronto's offense is starting to get really in sync here. This is a good-looking drive, and it's interesting to know. We'll talk about John Jenkins, who's their offensive coordinator, and the adjustments he's made. He was here in Hamilton a year ago, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Gerwan is out to the near side as Flutie finds some running room on 2nd and goal to go, and he's in for the touchdown. When they say goal to go, he was out at the 16.
That's like goal to go.
Yeah. Well, goal to go. I mentioned that as he started his run. It was wide open.
Well, you know, against this kind of 3-man rush that Doug Flutie has been looking to do this all game when the opportunity presents itself. And here he's going to see it's a 4-man rush this time, but he sees an opening up the middle. You got a little bit of man coverage deep downfield and nobody to chase and spy the quarterback. And he knows once he gets through that first wave, he's got a touchdown if he's got the speed to get in there, which he did.
Vanderjack will add the point after and make it 17-1 for the Argos on top of the Tiger Cats. Doug Flutie finished off the drive last week. 9 carries for 116 yards. Today a couple, including a 16-yard touchdown scamper. Doug Flutie's Argonauts on top by 16 after an impressive drive. And Flutie finished it off himself with a 14-yard scamper. 17-1. The Ticats have yet to answer. And Smith and Wilhite are deep for the kickoff by Vanderjack. Ashonde Smith back at the 3. And he's across the 20 to about the 22, and that's all. Stacked up by a pile of Argonauts, and looks like Brendan Rogers was the first there. A little help from Lester Smith. 7 plays to cover 56 yards. He took 3:50 off the clock. Flutie on the phone, finding out what else might work. There will be a few things in the Argonaut arsenal that will.
Well, he's talking to John Jenkins, the offensive coordinator, and the next time Toronto gets the football, I wanted to finish that thought on Jenkins and the transition he's made coming from Hamilton over to Toronto.
Norton is open, makes the catch short of a first down. Adrian Smith, they're still going to his side.
Yeah, I don't know, John. They must see something that I don't. And not that I'm a total expert. I think I know the game awfully well, but I kind of think, and I'm not sure that they've thrown one ball to the right side against Marcelo Simmons, and to check him out. We've got a Shunda Smith out there. We haven't seen the ball thrown his way either.
2nd and 2. Thomas stopped short of a first down, I do believe. Marcus Thomas. 8 carries a week ago for 20 yards. So maybe a yard, but they'll measure just in case. Marcus Thomas out of Kentucky in his rookie season. He had three 1,000-yard seasons in college at Kentucky. Played in the World League last year.
This is an interesting situation. I mean, this isn't inches here. This is a couple of feet. And I think there's no question that Don Sutherland at this stage is going to go for it. And the new weapon, Gonzalo Floyd, number 90, the defensive end, will come in at fullback. You remember he caught a pass earlier in short yardage. I don't think they'll go to him here.
But he's in there as the fullback, of the blocking back.
And I think
the running back.
Well, I think he'll be the blocking back.
Thomas tries to turn the corner, gets the first down, I do believe.
Boy, it's
not by much. It'll depend on the spot of the ball. He did get around the corner.
Mike O'Shea scraped off to the outside, and Toronto got a great surge. And you know, Gonzalo Floyd's not used to getting up under the pads of someone when you block them, and he almost gets stuffed in the backfield. You'll see Floyd coming right here. Benson takes him on, and O'Shea gets the initial wrap, and they don't make it.
Stopped inches short.
You know, this is really team defense at its best, because Ken Benson takes on the block, and then watch O'Shea scrape to the outside. But this is team defense. Boom, you stuff the block. Now the running back is by himself. He can't run over the rest of the Argonaut defense, and Toronto creates the turnover. One more look, but you talk about a team concept. Everybody does their job well. And Floyd, look, see, he doesn't get underneath Benson, and that's where the trouble starts.
That play needs a little work.
Well, as a fullback, you've got to explode through that outside man on the line of scrimmage, and Floyd just didn't do that.
Argo set up a Ticat 32, and Flutie takes off and then decides to throw. Malvo makes the catch, and Ticat fans want to mark for throwing from across the line of scrimmage. Flutie argues that.
The one official was right on the spot, and he said that you just kind of tiptoed 1 inch too much there, because it looked like he was over the line of scrimmage. Is the 32-yard line. I mean, initially it's the quarterback counter that they want to run. Well, here's the line of scrimmage right there. So you kind of follow this. It's the quarterback counter. As Flutie comes to the side, he knows he's got a better shot to pass the ball than to run it. No question. He's over it now and backs up. I mean, that's not even close.
He was thinking run, and then saw an open receiver 2 yards too late.
Well, that's a good call by the officials, because, I mean, sometimes as an official, you can get really caught up in the play and really not be looking for that. But they were looking for it, they got it, and Toronto moves backwards.
1st and 20. Flutie to the pinball. He can't make the catch. Frank West was covering, number 28.
I'll tell you what, Frank West has not looked out of place at all. He's not a big guy. He's only 5'11", 175, and he played corner for Ottawa a year ago, but watch how he closes. And that's why he's in the lineup, to take care of these number 3 receivers. And he did a good job second time. He's made a good solid play on Clements today.
Argos on top 17-1, 2:43 to go. In the third quarter at Ivor Wynne.
You know, when I say number 3 receiver, that just means the 3rd receiver in from the wide receiver. You get folks at home.
Flutie is smothered. Now he gets away. And away again. And has a target far side and a strike. Short of the first down, however, Malvo made the catch. How he got away from that. He looked to be buried at least twice. Feldman Malvo comes up with a clutch catch. Had the touchdown earlier.
I mean, is this not vintage Flutie? There he is. There's Joe Montfort.
How many guys get a shot?
Well, he makes a great play to get by Willie Williams. That's a quarterback draw. I mean, that's the quarterback draw. And look what happens. And you talk about backyard football. I mean, that is tough for defense. And that'll wear you down as a defense, too, mentally.
Actually, Floyd didn't really get a good opportunity to get to Flutie there. Looked like he might have, but on the replay, no. Vanderjack having a perfect season so far, Mike Vanderjack. 3 for 3 last week, and he hasn't missed this afternoon. Or he missed one. Actually, he did make the one from 45, and then they marched back, right? On a procedure call, he didn't make that one. I remember now. 20-1. Toronto on top of Hamilton. Season opener at Ivor Wynn.
You know, I think, Hamilton's been kind of against the wall a few times today, but there's 2:04 going in the third quarter. They're down 20-1. I think they need to finish off this quarter strongly and have some momentum, carry it into the fourth quarter. I mean, they can't just let Toronto chip away. And, 19 points is a lot against this Toronto defense, but I think it's kind of crunch time right now for Hamilton.
From the 35 on first down, Thomas makes the catch. Marcus Thomas. But he only has about 3 yards. Michael O'Shea was there on the tackle, and that gets Hamilton fans a little irate, just the mention of that name on the PA system here. Gain is 4. This will be 2nd and 6. Ticats move out to the 39. Cavillo unloads in a hurry for Thornton. Broke 1 tackle, and he's out to the 50 for a big Ticat first down. And that's enough to cheer about here this afternoon.
Well, it was a good call. Toronto rushed 7 people. They had man-to-man to the outside, and if you can get a block on the corner, which they did, they got just a bit of a rub on Adrian Smith, and that allowed then Thornton to get and make. There's the block on Bonner right there, and he had just enough to get up to the first down.
Pump fake and a handoff to Thomas. Argos have seen that at least 3 times. Waldrop was in on the stop.
And the third time they didn't fool Rob Waldrop. He was just eyeballing number 33, Marcus Thomas. And when he took the handoff on the draw, Waldrop was right there.
First time it went for 6, second time for about 4, and it's been cut down to about 1.5 yards now.
Yeah, now Toronto goes into their version of the nickel. 3-man rush, and Kelly Wilshire, number 26, comes in. Andrew Stewart, the tackle, goes out.
Second down, Cavillo looks long. He hasn't gone deep for many times this afternoon, missing Bert Thornton. Coverage by Antonius Bonner. And the Ticats are 3rd down and 9 to go, trailing by 19 at the 3-quarter pole. On CFL Live, we send you back to TSN Control.
CFL Live at the Quarter is brought to you by Midas for new, longer-lasting carbon metallic brake pads.
Welcome back to CFL Live. After 3 quarters, Rod Smith along with Bob Obilovich, Les Brown, Marty York. Opie, we really haven't seen too many new wrinkles or anything really different in that 3rd quarter, except 7 more points for the Argos. Once again, what do you do if you're the Ticats and offensively?
The Ticats are just trying to get something going. They're trying to find something to hang their hat on. That last series there, when they pumped it and went deep, that's one of the few times that Cavillo's tried to go deep on him. And the guy was open, so maybe that's kind of what they're going to have to do to try to get something going in this quarter. But it looks like Toronto's made better adjustments at halftime as far as offense versus the defense. Doug's starting to get some other things going now, and they're moving the ball a little better as well.
He's not getting too much going, though, Coach.
No,
they're still Hamilton's defense is playing outstanding, and give them all the credit in the world that they have actually kept Hamilton in the game. But what I see in Anthony Cavillo is there's no confidence there. If a coach comes out in the middle of the week and talks about in his paper that he has no confidence in the quarterback, then that quarterback plays nervous and he plays with no confidence at all. And you can see this. This man has played much better than this when he was in Las Vegas. He played much better than this last year when he had to come in and replace Dunnigan. And now he's playing with like he's got worries on his shoulders, and he does.
The question now becomes who's there to be the backup. And I hear Scott Colley. I don't know anything about him other than he's a decent runner. What do your contacts tell you about him?
Well, Coach Sutherland was very high on his ability to run with the ball. He's 6'2", 212, and he says he's got a Matt Dunnigan-type attitude.
Well, he might get the chance to see
So
him.
maybe he'll let him play in the fourth quarter and see if he can move the ball by running.
I don't think it could hurt. It can't get any worse.
Well, one thing that Leif Pedersen had been pointing out, I mean, you're basically not necessarily conceding defeat, but you're going to a guy that has absolutely no CFL experience. I mean, are you arguing that if he has no experience, now would be a good time to give it to him?
Better than going with a guy who's got no confidence at all.
It's too close in the game to bring in anybody else right now. Go with the man who you hired as to be your man.
Anthony Cavillo, still incumbent on him especially to get something going for the Tiger Cats, down by 16. Back to John and Leif.
And this is the first play of the third quarter. Osbaldiston's kick fielded by the pinball. And Mike Clemens draws some flags. There are also markers back at the other end, so we'll check out the infractions at Ivor Wynn. Argos leading 20-1. And this was as close as the Tiger Cats came. Cavillo looking deep for Thornton.
Well, he's kind of just hoping there. Come on, I just need something. I need a break, and he's just not getting one.
Here's how close it was. Well, not bad, but close doesn't count except in horseshoes, right?
Grenades.
Grenades. Argos take over at the 33. A nice, comfortable cushion heading into the fourth quarter. Low snap. Flutie picked it up and handed it to Drummond for about 5 yards. Drummond picked his way through. The numbers through 3 quarters, well, it's all Toronto, as you can imagine. Time of possession is a big edge for Toronto. And so is net yards.
There you go. Those are the two most glaring things when you look at third quarter stats. Toronto's had the ball for almost 9 more minutes than Hamilton, and Hamilton 116 yards after 3 quarters of football. I know Toronto's defense is good. We give them a lot of credit, but that figure, 116, should be at least over 200 at this point. Hamilton might be in the game if it was.
2nd and 4. Flutie himself, he's carried a couple of times, including one for a touchdown. This time he stopped short. Calvin Tingle, and ex-Argo as the Toronto quarterback this time.
Well, Calvin Tingle, since he came into the league with the Toronto Argonauts a few years ago, is as good as there is from tackle to tackle. Here he is in the middle, and watch his range. Here he comes. Flutie breaks out, then he's starting to track. That's the middle linebacker spying the quarterback. That's his responsibility if Flutie decides to run, and he does his job very well.
Defense has not been the Tiger Cats' problem here today.
That's for sure.
There have been some good plays. Punt returns have not been a strong suit of the Tiger Cats either. Along with the offense, unable to move the football against Toronto. 44-yard punt again. No return for Ken Wilhite as the Argos continue to hang on to a 19-point lead. Mike Morreale, the new Ticat, has been shut out so far this afternoon. Had a couple and 1 touchdown last week. He's in the midst of that celebration last year as a member of the Toronto Argonauts, along with number 88, his cousin, Paul Masadi. And with the Argos last year wearing 78, he's 18 as a member of the Tiger Cats. Coming at you, Mike Morreale. The big catch against Saskatchewan. And the numbers from last year, now a Ticat. Looking for a little bit from Anthony Cavillo here this afternoon. And there it is. Well timed, Mike Morreale. He's close to a first down. Kid from Stony Plain. Yeah, nothing like timing in television. What do you think, Leifert?
That was pretty good. Mike Morreale with a nice catch, dragging across the middle, underneath the coverage again, and forces Johnny Harris to come up and make the play right here. Harris chasing him. Of course, easy ball to complete, easy for Cavillo to find him, just right over the middle, not a tough throw.
Just shy of the first down. Couple of flips of the Wilson and you'll be there.
Nice place to take a chance here, but when you got stuffed on 3rd and short a couple of series ago, I think you just do the prudent thing and pick it up here.
Second down, less than a yard to go for the Tiger Cats. An earlier gamble on third down failed. The prudent thing, Cavillo himself straight ahead for a couple.
Now, John, I want to know something. Now, we just showed Mike Morreale and a nice catch he had with Toronto, and boom, we come out of that little clip there, and he catches one. You think if we went and showed a clip of Hamilton scoring a touchdown, we'd come out of that?
You know, we rolled back a little.
Does it work that way?
A little Cavillo from Vegas in '94 when he was throwing 19 touchdowns. Maybe that would.
Boy, he'd give anything to have one of those right now.
The intended receiver, the Argo defender, Antonius Bonner, might have had a better opportunity to bring that one in. But there was some pressure.
Well, Bonner just had perfect position. There was a little bit of pressure coming up from the outside, but I mean, nothing that really affected the throw by Calvillo, and it was merely Antonius Bonner who's playing his first game. I mean, how are you going to beat him there? He's on the inside hip of Thornton. Thornton didn't really try and fight through to the football. That is just tough defense.
That's the way it's been supplied by the Argonauts all afternoon. 2nd and 10, Ticats at the 40. Down by 19. Cavillo on a roll right. Takes off himself. Trying to dive ahead, but he was out of bounds at least 4 yards short of a first down.
Well, again, a Toronto defense has got tremendous team speed. Lester Smith, 36, comes all the way from middle safety to force Cavillo out of bounds. He's desperately trying to get to the first down marker, but he just can't get there because Lester Smith had the angle. There's Mike Morreale. Yeah, he thinks he's open, but you know what? Antonius Bonner, again, sitting right on the hip.
Playing possum back there a little bit.
That's one of those ones where you may go back to the sidelines and say, you know, AC, I was open, and we have the ability to see it like that. You know, he really wasn't.
There might be a little speed factor between Morreale and Bonner as well. Bonner could have closed quickly, perhaps. Here's the pinball. Hasn't had a big one today. He still hasn't. But one of his best out across the 20 to the 21. 51-yard punt that time. Ticats in trouble at home. Still waiting for the Tiger Cat offense to appear. But we do have a few kids in Hamilton with good CFL attitudes. Here's the schedule for week 3. Calgary and Montreal. We'll have that from the Big O. You're invited to attend, by the way, fans. BC at Edmonton Thursday. The Friday night special is here in Hamilton. Key game for both teams. Bombers and the Tiger Cats. Flutie looked to be in trouble and escaped somehow. He's taken a couple of hits today, though, Leaf.
That was a funny-looking play. I think something went wrong there, and there's been a few like that today that haven't looked too pretty, but have ended up with pretty good results. This is kind of a tough one to figure out. Doug Flutie initially... I'm not sure what
for there, and then...
Got me fooled there. I'm not sure what that was. It was ugly.
Fooled the Ticats for 8. 2nd and 2, Argos.
That's an ugly 8, I guess.
That's an ugly 8. Mike Pinball Clemens can't turn the corner. Did he fumble it out of bounds, or did he go down? Ran right out of his shoe.
He's a little nicked up there. He took a shot on the elbow. Boy, Paul Mazzotti was lucky. He was blocking on Orlando Steinauer, and you'll see to the outside. I mean, here's Mazzotti. Watch him come in here. And if you don't think this is holding, I mean, I know he's trying to watch this. Whoa, jeez. Now, come on. They got an official right on the side there, and he doesn't see it. I guess he's looking hard for the spot. Crafty, you know, that's what you call crafty. He got away with it there.
Close enough to take a closer look. It'll be 3rd down and inches to go. 10:05 to go. In the final quarter, Argos have been in control all game long. They haven't really put the points on the board so far.
Now watch Philbrick on the nose and see if he can get the penetration, because it's going to be a sneak.
I don't think they were able to hold Flutie, although several Ticats suggest they might have been able to.
Now Flutie he very rarely follows Mike Kiselak, the center, straight up behind him.
He
usually
slides off to the right or left.
Slides off to the side. You know, Philbrick was really hunkering down, and you're going to see it here. This is a good look. The defense tries to get underneath the offense, and Flutie just got enough.
Flutie squirmed for enough for a 1st down at the 33. 3 receivers to the near side. Drummond makes the catch. Ticat tacklers have been ferocious at times today. That was Justin Ring who wrapped up Drummond.
Boy, he sure got out there in a hurry, Justin Ring. He's the outside linebacker to that side of the field, and as soon as he saw Flutie set up, he was racing out there, and you know, he does a pretty good job to hold Drummond to a short gain.
Not surprisingly, the Argos lead in all the offensive categories at this stage of things. 8:44 to go in the 4th quarter. 2nd and 4. Flutie stymied. Made contact with his receiver Malvo out there, but that was quickly read, and there'll be no 1st down Toronto. Frank West, we've mentioned his name several times.
He's done a lot of good things, and we've mentioned his name in a very positive way today. And no, this is really unfortunate for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I mean, this has been a heck of a defensive effort, and you know, it's one of those things you have to really work hard to not create dissension among your teammates, because I know the defense is going to be ticked off at the offensive production today, but this is one of those things. It's a long season, and you're going to have to rely on your teammates, and you know, it's been a tough day. Hamilton's defense has played well, and the offense just hasn't been able to get it done.
Vanderjack gets another high one away. Ken Wilhite is surrounded and down with a penalty marker down there. We'll check that out after a 36-yard punt when we return to Ivor Wynne Stadium. Argos in complete control, leading 20-1. CFL Live from Ivor Wynne in Hamilton. Last penalty was on the Argonauts on the return coverage, so Ticats get a little bit of a break and a few yards out to midfield. Here's Gene.
John, I'm with a gentleman who's been around the CFL since about the time the crust of the earth began to harden. Neil Lum's the general manager of the Ticats. Neil, just 13,000 out today. That's got to be a little disappointing.
Oh, very disappointing. I mean, going into the home opener, the first time that people get a chance to see what this defense and this offense can do, I expected a little bit more than that. I knew, you know, we hadn't played well last year, and I understand a little bit of concern, but when it comes down to it, starting a new season, a lot of new faces, things still have to happen. Defense played awfully well today, but I'm disappointed in the crowd.
Neil, thanks for this. Good luck the rest of the
night.
Unfortunately, Neil Lums didn't see the biggest play of the afternoon for his Tiger Cats. Bert Thornton, a 48-yard reception.
Well, he finally fought through to try and make the catch here. Bert Thornton did. He's working on Adrian Smith. They hadn't had a thing against him all day, but this time with protection, Cavillo launches a perfect strike, and there, see Thornton, he's fighting through for the football. He didn't do that before, and when you do that, good things happen. He makes a nice catch, and after that penalty on the punt return and now this long play, the Ticats finally have something going.
Well, I guess maybe they had a plan. They went against Smith all day and finally got one. But
they're about 1 for 12,
yeah,
but it was a good one.
It was a good one. 3 cracks at it from the 4-yard line for the Tiger Cats.
He's in.
Little naked bootleg around the right side, and Cavillo had him fooled.
tell you, this is a great call. This is one of my favorite plays on the goal line, but you got to have the quarterback with the courage to call his own number here, because there's no blocker going to help you when you run the naked bootleg. And Anthony Cavillo called it. He got the influence he wanted. He fakes to the running back. Everybody slants down the line of scrimmage, and he's got an easy trip in for Hamilton's first major of the day.
Set up on a long toss to Bert Thornton. They covered 48 yards, and quickly from there, Cavillo finally gets the Tiger Cats into the end zone and cuts the Argonaut lead to 12 points on the old Sally Rand. That's the way they used to describe it in the Eskimo offensive scheme of things.
Yeah, and what it is you're trying to get the defensive end that you want to end up at his side. You need to influence him to go downfield, and Cavillo got that. And this guy, he needs to do a little bit more running. He hasn't been doing enough here in that flag.
Anthony Cavillo took a long time to solve the Argonaut defense, but did on 2 big plays. Last week, the Argos only gave up 117 yards passing, 59 yards on 1 breakdown. I don't think you can describe the Thornton catch as a breakdown. Adrian Smith was covering tightly on the play. It was just Thornton finally, as you said, finding a way to get through the defender and make the catch.
Well, here was the matchup that got them down to the goal line. Thornton just blows by. Here's Smith. He's looking into the backfield. He loves to do that. He does it well, but I mean, that is a perfectly thrown football, because that's not bad. That's not bad coverage. There's the good fake, and boy, right here, as soon as he looks upfield, Cavillo says, hey, I fooled him and I got one.
I bet you're going to explain why they called it the Sally Rand.
Sally Rand, I don't know why they called it that. I have no idea.
Well, they call it the naked bootleg, and Sally Rand was a stripper a long time ago.
I'm not old enough to remember that.
Pinball Clemens out to the 25. 20-8. Ticats within striking distance if Cavillo can get hot a couple more times.
You know what?
Fake here.
When you run the naked bootleg, you have to make a great fake. Well, I'll tell you how good the fake was. Watch this. As he comes around, watch where our cameraman goes. Watch this. See this?
Now, what camera was that? 1, 2, 3?
That was 7.
7?
And he got fake.
First and 10.
He won't want to see the film session of that tomorrow.
To it yet. Drummond makes the catch far side, forced out almost immediately.
Well, what Doug Flutie wants to do now, there's 6:40 to remain in this game, and you know his team's been scored upon. He's still got a 12-point lead. He'd like to just grind it out, keep throwing underneath the coverage if that's what Hamilton wants to do, although I think Hamilton's going to try and force the issue a little more on defense. This is not a situation where you want to be passive. I think they've got to gamble and take a few more chances now. The game dictates that you should.
Turnover here would make for an interesting finish. And Drummond doesn't get the first down on 2nd and 2.5. Ticat defense has played with some inspiration and some heart. No question about that.
Well, again, Gonzalo Floyd made the play, and he has been tough today. He's a much better defensive end than he is a blocker on short yardage. You watch him slash down. Here he is. Boom, he meets Drummond in the backfield. No chance for Robert Drummond, so the Ticats get the 2 and out, and they're back in business.
6:06 to play, 4th quarter at Ivor Wynn. It's the home opener for the Tiger Cats. Offensively, they did not start well, but one drive has the fans alive one more time. One return would be pretty nice right here, but Wilhite has it roll off his fingertips, and he's only back to where he first touched it at the 25.
Boy, Toronto's punt cover team has been awesome today. That was a 57-yard punt and just a few-yard return. You talk about a good net gain for Mike Vanderjagt. You know, like his statistics are going to look great. But I'll tell you what, it was the 11 guys down covering that are going to make his numbers look even better.
There has been no room to return for the Tiger Cats on special teams today. Cavillo Still not at 50% on the afternoon. I doubt that we'll see Mike Colley, although he was in the bullpen warming up prior to the last drive when Cavillo finally hooked up on the 48-yarder to Thornton. Cavillo stands in under the cover. Mike Morreale has about 6.
Toronto going to kind of a semi-prevent here with the 3-man front, and Kelly Wilshire, number 26, the young Canadian rookie, comes in as the nickel back, and I think they're going to be very content to force Cavillo to throw underneath, and I think they'll be very leery of letting someone get over the top. Make Cavillo put 8-9 plays together if he can to score.
Ticats need 12 to tie. They have Morreale, and that'll be a Hamilton first down. So the Argos dropping off a little bit in this prevent defense, but a couple of pretty good-looking plays despite that.
Well, they're nice-looking plays, but I mean, you got 4:44 to go, and you're down by 12. This is plays right into the hands of the Argonauts. Here goes Morreale right across, but the linebackers get a great drop. They'll just come up and react to the football. Here comes Givens, and you know that's what they want Hamilton to do, because that's going to take 9 plays to get it downfield like that.
On first down, Cavillo has to step up. Sure where that was headed. There's a marker down. Reggie Givens was involved in the play, number 38. He led Toronto tacklers in '96 and got off to a pretty good start with 6 last week. Givens.
Well, he's so fast. I mean, his speed is just incredible.
Hamilton, number 55. First down repeated.
That's the center, Doug Davies.
Toronto will certainly accept this penalty and put them back another 10.
4:18 to go. Ticats down 20-8 at Ivor Wynne. The offense got rolling a little bit too late this afternoon. First and 20. Cavillo still on his feet, sliding safely for 55. He wasn't moving all that quickly. I didn't think he had a chance to get out of there.
You know, John,
he found a way, and he got 26 yards.
I'm sorry, you know, we said in the opening that his running might be the difference if Hamilton was going to have a good day, and he hasn't really done a lot of it, but he is underrated. I mean, he's got some pretty good speed. This is a nifty run to get away from the pressure and get 26 yards on first and 20. That's a tough thing to convert, and he did it quickly.
3:23 to go. Cavillo with the first down at midfield. He does, stepping out halfway to a first down this time.
Well, again, you know, the 3-man front, the 3-man pass rush really lends itself to a quarterback taking off and running. If, you know, the linebackers and then the 6 defensive backs now are going to drop way downfield, that's a pretty good play for Cavillo just to take it under his arm and go. He did the smart thing. He got out of bounds and stopped the clock.
This is 2nd and 5. Ticats at the Argo 50. Hamilton down by 12. Cavillo has Thomas, and he'll have a first down at the 41. Time is running out on the Ticats, but they still hang on to the football, and we'll have a first down when we return. The 3-minute warning is up at Ivor Wynne. Here's the way they've racked up the numbers this afternoon in Hamilton. A scoreless opening quarter, 10 for the Argos in the second, 10 more in the third. And the Ticats finally get on the board with a major in the fourth quarter. Now 2:48 to go. And the offense got rolling a little too late.
Well, again, Cavillo just dumps it off. Toronto dropping deep, forcing Ken Benson, the linebacker, to come up and make the play, along with some help on the outside.
Little sidearm.
Wow, he was thinking run there until he just kind of saw things open up a little bit. It's like Doug Flutie. You've been watching Flutie play.
2 receivers to the near side, make it 3 for Hamilton, including Ashande Smith. first down for Cavillo. No one is open. Buys a little time, and still no one home. Thornton might have been the intended target, but he was covered on the goal line.
Well, I'll tell you, for a three-man rush, Toronto sure put a lot of pressure on Cavillo. I mean, you've got Rob Waldrop, Demetrius Maxey, and Oscar Giles, and between the three of them, here's Waldrop. He forces Cavillo out. Now here comes Maxey, and then Giles again is going to come, and Waldrop gets the hit. I mean, that is a heck of an effort on a three-man rush against 5 offensive linemen.
2nd and 10. Tiger Cats at the Argonaut 40. Cavillo takes a hit and finds Morreale about a yard shy of the first down. Antonius Bonner on the tackle. At the All-Star break in baseball after tonight's. There's one more game on TSN tonight before we bring you the All-Star game from Cleveland on Tuesday. Mariners and Angels. Check out Ken Griffey Jr. beginning at 8 Eastern tonight. .2:14 to go in the final quarter. This is 3rd down, a yard to go. Morreale has the first down. Mike Morreale has been effective on the last few drives for the Tiger Cats.
Yeah, he's done a nice job under pressure. I mean, every catch he has to make now is so crucial with time running out.
On first down, Cavillo looks deep, looks to the end zone, jump ball. He's got it. Bert Thornton. You know, if they'd scored touchdowns in the 3rd quarter, there would have been reason to cheer for a whole half of football. Right now, they've got their fans into it. Bert Thornton catches a couple, one for a touchdown on a bit of a miracle in the Argonaut end zone.
Well, I've criticized Bert Thornton for not being aggressive to the football earlier, but my goodness, what a play to take it away from 2 Toronto Argonauts, Adrian Smith and Antonius Bonner. And somehow he comes down with it and say, hey, there's a minute and 52 to go, and now this is a real decision for Don Southern. I mean, you've got Doug Flutie that can eat up a minute and 52 with
his eyes closed.
With his eyes closed. But if you short kick it and you don't get it, you're in big trouble too. This is what these guys get paid, the big money to make these decisions. And I'm sorry, John, I'm sure Don Matthews will put his hands team. You see Mike Clemens waving his fingers like that. That means 10 guys up near the kick that are used to handling the football. And, you know, if they kick it deep, they don't really care about the big return. They just want to make sure they have guys that are used to handling the football in this situation. You know, Hamilton now, they're getting the word from Ozzie. It's either going deep or short. When they put the hands team in a minute and 52, the way the defense is played, I kick it deep.
It is a 5-point ball game. Leaf mentioned the time remaining. Under 2 minutes. Osbaldiston ready to nail it deep. Mitchell takes it on the run and steps out near the 22. Daryl Mitchell, a rookie, and here's Bert Thornton on the sidelines, a 48-yarder to set up the first Tiger Cat touchdown in the 4th.
Yeah, this was a terrific throw by Anthony Cavillo, a nice concentration. He gets behind Adrian Smith. That's a super catch, and of course the touchdown was as good or better because he's going to fight through 2 players together. He's tracking, and Smith gets a hand on it, and somehow it falls into Thornton as he hits the turf. But it's been Bert Thornton single-handedly who's put the Ticats back in this position where they're only 5 points behind.
Up to the defense to get it back in a hurry for the Tiger Cats to have a chance to win, but Flutie has his hands on the football now, can't get it away. Ledford
and that should be grounding, and they're not going to call it. And I think Hamilton has a right to be upset. Joe Montfort was in so fast. He beat the block of Willie Williams. Watch the move inside. Willie Williams, they can't handle. He beats the double team. And that should be grounding. No question.
Well, they've restored the roar here for now in Hamilton.
See, grounding, though, they're going to lose 10 and loss it down.
And that's a big call. It doesn't go Hamilton's way.
It's a big non-call is what it is.
Right, well, any way you put it, it doesn't go Hamilton's way, right? Flutie on 2nd and 10. Masadi. And they rule it a catch. The Ticats don't like that call over there.
And they better be careful because they're going to get a penalty. They jumped all over the referee when he made that call on the sidelines, and the coaching staff, they better be careful because Joe Moss is there and he's giving it to that official pretty good.
It's a long way from our vantage point. Perhaps we can see it a little bit more clearly here.
You watch as he comes back to the football. This is a heck of a play right here. Look at the angle he keeps. He keeps that separation. And that's tough to tell, but the coaches from Hamilton just went wild.
It is a Toronto first down with 1:29 to go. Argos by 5. Flutie took a pretty good hit from Campbell. Another ex-Argo, number 98.
Well, what Hamilton's defense has to try and tell each other right now is on any running play, passing plays, try and strip that ball loose. First guy, make the tackle, hang him up, and then the next guy and the 2 or 3 that come in, start reaching for that football and try and create the turnover.
1:14 to go, at least unofficially. Flutie looks at 2nd and 7. Ticats trying to get their hands back on the football before Flutie finishes off his clock. And that'll take a few more seconds off as Mike Clemens makes the catch with 55 seconds remaining.
And this crowd went from wildly enthusiastic to pretty quiet in a hurry.
Interesting.
I think with that catch by Mike Clemens and 55 seconds to go, Toronto's been able to hang on to a pretty interesting 4th quarter here.
Well, the Ticat defense needs one monster play, but it has to happen pretty quickly now with the time ticking down. Look back to that call that the Tiger Cats didn't get when it looked like Flutie might have intentionally grounded the ball. Robert Drummond on first down. That wipes another few seconds away. Mike Campbell had him.
Of course, Hamilton has a timeout that they can use, and, you know, it's 33 seconds to go. Ideally, you'd like to use it on 2nd down if Toronto doesn't make the first down, but, you know, they're just kind of running out of time here. Toronto will take the full 20 seconds off and try and snap it at about 14, and that should do it. They won't have to probably. Well, they probably have to kick if they don't make the first down, but I think it's immaterial.
Flutie knocks another 14 out. Timeout.
Now they take it.
Remaining.
No, they'll take the timeout with 6 seconds. It forces Toronto into a kicking situation of some sort.
The Tiger Cat offense simply woke up too late. You know, when you look back at the 3rd quarter, there were some chances, and even in the first half in the early going, just one big play to get a few points on the board. Maybe that would have awakened the Argonaut offense a little bit.
They spent a lot of their offensive time hammering away at Adrian Smith. Now they got a couple of big plays on his side, and you know, obviously they knew something because they kept going there, but, you know, 2 out of 12 is about what they got.
Ticats will get their mitts on the football with 6 seconds to go. Trailing by 5, it's up to Ken Wilhite. And with 4 seconds on the clock, he may have to take it all the way. No time for maybe one play. And AC, Anthony Cavillo. And there's a chance for one Hail Mary.
And there will be Toronto Argonauts that will not show up on this film tomorrow on this final play.
You mean they're going to be so far out of the picture back in the secondary?
You will not see them.
Don Southern And the Ticats will look to regroup for this Friday night with the Blue Bombers coming to town in a game of a couple of teams without a victory.
And Toronto, Lester Smith is 30 yards from the center, the middle safety for the Toronto Argonauts. I mean, there they are. I mean, look at these guys. They're all back here. That's 25, 30 yards from Cavillo. If they're going to get by somebody, I don't know how they're going to do it.
Argos with a 3-center fielder formation as Cavillo winds up and fires this one high. It's picked off by Bonner, and that'll be it. At least unofficially, there's the gun. So Don Matthews is one win closer to becoming the all-time leader in coaching victories in the Canadian Football League. In a lot of ways, his Argos were not really tested today until the final few moments, but
now the players of the game.
Tiger Cats did come back with 2 late touchdowns to at least keep it interesting for the final 5 minutes.
Well, I mean, you know, if you're Don Matthews, a win is a win. I mean, they go to 2-0 and they can work on some things that maybe they felt like they didn't do as well, but you know, essentially that was a pretty solid game for Toronto. A couple of spectacular catches by Thornton. This game's not close for Hamilton. You know, here's the frustrating part if you're a head coach. I mean, Cavillo had some success late in the 4th quarter. Probably salvaged his starting job for next week when they will host Winnipeg on Friday night. We'll have that game for you on TSN. But, I mean, for Don Southern, there's some frustrating things offensively, and they need to do a lot of ironing out in this next week.
Don't fault the defense. There was some inspiration on that side of the ball for the Tiger Cats from start to finish. But this guy, folks, number 2, he's just too tough.
Welcome back to CFL Live. So what looked like it would be an easy Argo victory turned out to be a 5-point game, gentlemen. But less. For the second straight week, Montreal, that offense is asleep most of the game, and then they wake up near the end, but just too little too late.
Well, you know what? I think that Hamilton needs to go out and they need to play an actual game, a quarter of an actual game before the game actually starts. That's like I need to go out and shoot a bucket of balls before I go play 18 holes.
You need 2 buckets.
Is there anything for this Ticat offense to build on, the way they moved it down in the end?
I think from what we saw in the second half, Thornton made a great catch to give him the touchdown, and he made a great catch to get him in position for their first one. So I think they got something to build on there. And Mike Morreale, they can throw underneath him. Mike Morreale's a good slot back. He's a veteran guy that's been in the league. And, you know, just maybe have a little different approach to the offense to start a game.
Bert Thornton saved the Hamilton Tiger Cat offense from looking really, really, really bad.
Listen, speaking of really bad, I was not impressed with the Argos. Talk about winning ugly. This was a team that was supposed to dominate, you know, every opponent they played this year. And against the mediocre, and that's what they are, mediocre Hamilton Tiger Cats, they played lousy football, I thought. What did they get, the 2 touchdowns?
Marty, I'm going to tell you, there's no such thing as an ugly win. This turned out to be a defensive. Both teams' defenses played well. The offenses weren't as good as
all I know,
we
Bob,
expected.
Let me just say one thing. If the Argos play this kind of football in Regina next Saturday, they're going to get their butts kicked. They're not going to go 18-0.
That'll make you yet more popular in Saskatchewan.
I want to tell you, the turning point of the game was the no call on the intentional grounding. Here we got a defensive player with his hands on Doug Flutie. He throws it in the ground, and then if you make that call, it is 2nd and 20. They get the ball back in plenty enough time to really see if they can make this a game or win it.
Well, they certainly made it close, getting to within 5, and if you were watching this and playing in QB1, well, you had an interesting set of choices towards the end. How'd you do? Congratulations to our winner on QB1. And coming up next week, a busy week it is. And we get it started again on Wednesday. Interesting matchup. Calgary Stampeders at 0-2 against the 2-0 Montreal Alouettes. Could the mighty Stamps be falling to 0-3? That is going to be tough at Olympic Stadium. Followed by BC Edmonton, Winnipeg, Hamilton, and then, yes, the Argos and Don Matthews taking on Saskatchewan. Up next, Sports Desk with Teresa Cruz. The final once again from Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton. It was the Argos hanging on to defeat the Tiger Cats 20-15. From all of us here at CFL Live, thanks for watching. See you Wednesday night. So long.